because it's already been hit.
Okay. If you unpressed, it'd be like a 1 second. Hey there.
Yo. So hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. We're here to talk about episode 2 of season 3 of Discovery.
But just to pimp out our edited review, the 27-minute edited piece came out earlier today. It's our nice condensed thoughts with full graphics, etc., etc., and Stuart's first reaction yesterday, which I'll actually go back and watch after this. So do go check that out. And of course, your weekend's worth and some of the weekdays worth of sub videos. Do check out this past week for episode 1. We did some videos. We did look at Bookship. We did a debate about Northern Federation 3188. That's been quite popular. Now it's just the tile sequence. A discussion of the Star Trek Federation, the universe that we find ourselves in dystopian, and the 2239 shuttles using 3188. That debate, and of course our predictions. So go back and have a watch if you're interested in topics. And tune in for this week. So just pimping our work, Stuart.
Pimping the work. Yeah. That's what we do. Yeah, so go watch all those things he said and hit like if you haven't hit like yet. We have 47 people watching with 41 likes, which is pretty good. And we already have 2 super chats. Both of them are from Olivia, but they're also very good. We'll read those right now before Samuel shares.
Okay.
To give you guys an indication of how to super chat and things to say, maybe. Although Olivia kind of goes off the rails sometimes.
But the best kind of rails to go off.
Absolutely. She throws in $20, which is a great super chat.
Yep.
Update number 2. I was watching the captain's last night during his first reaction when I saw it. Towards the end, the Jeffries tube monster attacked the right side of the captain's head. Luckily, as you can see, the cap made it out fine. Did I though, or did she implant a parasite in my ear and be controlled by the pug at this very moment?
Yeah. Or they just put a light over it and it was fixed.
Yeah, they waved a light over it. Yep.
Yeah, 2 different low decks references that work perfectly well.
Absolutely. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. The pug basically attacked me and gave me lots of kisses. So Olivia Julius, $5. A fancy vocabulary does not mean you're scary. It means you have a thesaurus. Captain Giorgio.
What were the lines that he actually said? What were the words? Because I assumed he was speaking in pidgin language, which is what they were saying. Because I didn't 2 times I didn't know.
Yeah, he said. I don't know. We'll get to it when we get to it with the subtitles. But
okay, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember.
I just rewatched it for the second time. I tend to do one first watch and then one just for the live. So it's very fresh on my mind. And it does change on rewatches. I think Lower Decks changes less, but these are quite a lot longer. I mean, they're over double the length of the Lower Decks episodes. But yes, Stuart, I can start sharing. And what I'd love to see is when I get back, 130 people watching and 80 likes. That's what I'm hoping for.
That would be nice. Yes. So hit like, guys.
So I'll see you.
Gonna go share now, and you get to spend some time with me, because you all love that. You love spending time with me, don't you? So as you saw, super chats are a great way to get your comment read, your whatever you want out there. Your favorite quote, as Olivia put in there, your favorite thing from the episode, any theories, any suggestions, any ideas you have, and we got to talk about them because we do read them all. Yeah, so if you can, please do. Helps us out, and we really appreciate that. So another way to help us out is to join the channel at the rank of commander, captain, or admiral. That helps us on a monthly basis. It's much like Patreon, but on the YouTube channel, and you get your name highlighted in a color, the green color there, as you can see. It's green for me anyway, and a badge beside your name. So we see how long you've been with us, and you get to use the cool little emojis and stuff for the live chats. So, yeah, I just lost my train of thought right there. You can also check out the PayPal/Trekyards. PayPal is another monthly service to help us out. You can also send a PayPal. If you want to send a PayPal, please do let us know in the chat, though, so that the moderators can get our attention and we read your comment or question via the email through PayPal. Vadrash, where is Kraft? I've been a Trekkie since the word was invented. No idea when Trekker was invented. Trekker was invented sometime in the 80s, probably around the time of TNG. There is a differentiation between Trekkie and Trekker. I always forget what they are. One is correct, one is not, according to me. And don't ever call me a Trekker. So there you go. The Corridon reference was nice. Absolutely, it was. And Valkyrie417 has joined the channel. The rank of commander. Thank you, Valkyrie. Those memberships mean a lot on a monthly basis. So thank you very much. That's very great. So yeah. Just waiting for the Samuel to come back from sharing the video around. Hopefully we'll get a bunch more viewers. We're up to 110, which is great. 67 watching. Awesome. I think we can hit 75 likes easily, or even 100 likes with the amount of people watching. So if you're here and you haven't done it already, hit that like button, because I know we can get up to 100.
Did you reach my
100's
goals,
the
though?
goals. No, we're working on it. We're at 67 likes. Relax.
Getting.
We got a new channel member, though.
Oh!
Valkyrie417 joined the channel.
Welcome!
So another commander.
We're getting crowded in the commander's mess. I like it.
Yes. And Jeff Jacobs throws in $2. 50 in 2 minutes. Nice. Yay. This felt like Trek. Hashtag make Jeff pay. So there you go.
Good first question, though. As I was thinking this when we watched it. Lieutenant Commander Redshift, another commander. As I said in your previous video, how do you feel about the "we have morals, don't hurt the villain" after killing all the henchmen?
Say that again. Where is that?
As I said to your previous video, how do you feel about the "we have morals, don't hurt the villain" after killing all the henchmen?
That's a good point, actually. Kill the underlings, but like let the main guy go.
The worst one.
You always leave one alive, don't you? You always leave one alive to tell the tale. Usually, for me, that wouldn't be the captain. But anywho.
And my only comment to that would be that Saru only commented after she'd killed them because he was busy like defending everyone else. So she'd already done the deeds and then told her off. Like he could have yelled during, but he wasn't necessarily thinking that. Because he probably should have told her off for killing the innocent people as well, or the henchmen. But it was weird that we sort of sidestepped him a little bit. That said, though, or just kill all of them, or just kill the main guy. It's like, oh.
Is anyone really innocent, though? They probably all did something that, justified them being slaughtered.
Although, since we don't know how dystopian this is, really, we still haven't really quite worked out how. It could just be, more normal thuggish.
And were Saru's little darts, did they go into the guy's arm? Because he shot the main guy.
I have no idea. I mean, they just kind of went to him, and they're CGI darts. They didn't even do anything. Are they paralyzing darts? I thought they were just like stabby darts. I didn't know if I guess they're paralyzing-ish, but he also walked away, so not really. He just kind of stopped being a presence when that happened. I don't know why exactly.
I think he had his weapon or something, and then he got shot and dropped it, so it could have just been that he got hit in the arm with the spikes. That might be enough to... Who knows?
It was a bit odd. Kind of the fight was over because Saru did the maneuver. It's like, but what does that do exactly?
Yeah. Yeah. Lawrence Hogwood puts in $5 with no comment, but thank you very much. Those super chats are greatly appreciated, guys.
Although Jill says yes, they weren't all dead. One dude, Saru, did this to or pushed, and two guys, the other two, she broke the necks of. So one actually should be alive. They didn't address, or he just pushed him, hit him so hard that he's dead, which means he murdered one, two, or killed him. Don't know.
Yeah. Rel throws in $10.
Cool.
I was happy to see in the next episode preview that they say the dilithium went inert in the burn, and only ships with active warp cores exploded, which makes more sense.
That's news to us. Spoiler.
I didn't see that either or hear that.
He means the ready room, I'm assuming, that should show off some ships, which we're trying not to see until next week. By active warp core, do you mean at warp? Because all warp cores are active warp cores. If you're
I would say anything that's active, not at warp, but just a starship that's operating, because you have to feed the reaction through the crystals to create the warp plasma, right? Whereas if it's just a pile of dilithium crystals, they just went inert. They turned into regular quartz or something.
I was right about that, and not blowy happy.
And the planets didn't explode. If that's the case, yes.
But the way he says it...
But we're both right then, because even if the starships exploded that had actives are both kind of right.
But he says, only ships active warp cores. because that would also be stations and planets that you. I mean, there'd still be a lot of things. So I'm hoping it just means like utilized heavily, as in like if you're traveling at warp or doing some maneuver that involves lots of power, then it causes an explosion. So like the more power drain, like and always like how eventually if the more power used, the more deadly it was. So the ship's just a sublight, did nothing except anyway. I'm sure that'll be next week, and I'm very excited to hear what happens. But yeah, there we go. Bit of a talk, a bit of information.
Fleet Pass Swiftback, $2.
Thank you.
Saru's darts for the win. Do they kill or stun? They probably paralyze would be
Well,
my
they didn't
guess.
kill because he walked away fine. So we know they didn't kill.
I'd be fine if they like have a paralyzing agent, like if he hits somebody in the arm with it, their whole arm goes numb or something for a few hours. That'd be all right.
We know from why the Ba'ul basically neutered them because they were deadly.
Yeah.
They were really strong, and so yeah, if you have paralyzing darts, it makes it easier to kill them, etc. Yeah, it's dark. It's dark.
Luke Celeste, $10.
Thank you. Kicking butt.
The difference is simple. If you go on a trek, you are a trekker. If you like Star Trek, you are a Trekkie. We spelled Trekkie wrong, but yeah, we're talking about the trekker and trekker difference when you were sharing. Trekkie is the old school term. Trekker is the newer school term when TNG came out.
Yes, it's definitely sort of the 80s, 90s, and then I think people abandoned it for the most part when it's like, because for me, who the hell cares? I know I wasn't there for the abuse, but Trekker sounds silly to me, and Gene said it's Trekkies, not Trekkers, so that's the end of the discussion, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
well, there's a difference. Like, Trekkie loves everything Star Trek and really gets into it. A Trekker is more somebody that watches all the shows, but aren't necessarily big into Star Trek.
it's also Discovery
They're the
fan
ones
that just likes Discovery and JJ and Picard, maybe.
Loser. Just kidding. Just
Wow,
kidding.
okay.
Just kidding. Relax. No, but Trekkies are the ones
Trekkie
that dive
least.
into minutia. We're Trekkies because we dive into the minutia. We love the ships. We love the canon. A Trekker is somebody who just enjoys the entertainment value of it. But anyway,
So a
who
Trekker
gives
is
a
more,
shit?
in the context, is like, most people are Trekkers, but they would never call themselves that because I'm just a Star Trek fan. They don't care enough. But since
Exactly.
we hang out in the universe where we like people who own costumes and do fan films, obviously these are all the hardcore people anyway. Like, go to a convention, none of them are Trekkers. They're all Trekkies. They hate to go to a Star Trek convention. So, you know, whereas if you go into a comic book store or a sci-fi store, well, I don't think... In England, it's certainly not as much a term. I'm assuming it's just an American thing. I think you'd all just be, I either enjoy Star Trek or Trekkie.
Mm-hmm. James McGill, $2.
McGill.
Work since
Ooh.
2 a.m. Do something to keep me awake.
James, stay awake!
I mean, I could do a dance.
There you go.
Oh, let's just put on some headphones first and then do that again.
Yes. And everyone will stop
but
listening
anyway.
just for you. You know, just everyone promise to close their ears now. Yeah.
Too late. Craig, S23,
Thank you.
£5. Could everything in Trek be fixed if Discovery went back in time rather than forward? Couldn't help but think this when seeing this episode. I mean, everything can still be fixed anytime because time travel is a thing. I have to go do is reset one or two things, major things,
Slingshot.
to correct a
Easy.
timeline. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I mean, we asked that a long time ago for all these. Even season 1, they could fix season 1 while in season 1. Yeah. So 150 people watching, which is brilliant. Sorry, Jason. Don't say it broke. We're going about season 2. No, episode 2 of season 3, called Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yes.
It's a prequel to next episode called Star Discovery: Infinity War, and then
Discovery: Homecoming.
I'll be episode 6. Yeah, and then somehow Doctor Strange 2. So just very confusing titles. Dave, guys, must have been a delay of people. Yeah. So Stuart, shall we discuss episode 2 then? I think the preamble's happened. We're a bit long on super chats, but do put your thoughts in comments and join the channel if you want to. But Stuart, then. Now having watched it a few times, retrospect, and after our discussion this morning, which does tend to, discuss it in a new way. What are your general thoughts for the audience? On episode 2?
Best episode of season 3 so far. But there's only 2, and that's my opinion. Like I said earlier, I think this one would have been much more impactful as an episode 1, and then had the next one start a year later, and then have Michael Burnham's story. because I kind of care more about the ensemble cast and the crew than I do about Michael Burnham personally. But I rather enjoyed this one. It felt Star Trek to me. The crew got to do their own thing, and I know a lot of people have said it's kind of irrelevant, the whole episode. Like, it didn't need to happen because nothing happened, except for Michael Burnham saving them at the end.
I wouldn't say that.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
The Saru, you get to see his captaining, which I really like.
His first time captaining.
Yeah.
Actually.
Tilly didn't really impress me, which is odd coming from me.
Well, she was
I love
so
seeing.
covered up, which is, I think, the joke you made yesterday or last week.
Yeah. Non, the new security chief, like her, hated Giorgio except for when she was good, and that was in the bar at the end. So, I mean, there's some good moments in this one. There's actually a few moments that made me laugh out loud, especially with Stamets and Jet, and even Dr. Culber. So yeah, there's a lot I liked about this episode. It felt very Star Trek to me. I didn't mind the ending. A lot of people said that the ending ruined it with Michael Burnham saving the day because of course she did.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And everybody was so happy to see her.
That seems like such an odd complaint.
Yeah, and everybody was so happy to see her, and it's like, no, her smiling on screen is perfect because she hasn't seen these guys for a year, didn't know when they were coming. They're there now, and everybody else on the Discovery, the whole episode has been like, how are we going to contact Burnham? We won't be able to contact Burnham. We don't have a communications thing. Where is she? Da da da. So they know she's safe now, and so everybody's reaction was perfect, and I had no issues with her coming and saving the day. She wasn't Mary suing it. So
well, we can tell she's had a hard year. Like, that's going to be story. Yeah. So she had to fight through a lot of stuff to get here. We skipped to the middle of the story, even though we're in episode 2, which implies a lot more back and forth. A quick clarification though, because I know we disagree on this a little bit, but just to clarify, you said you much more like the crew ensemble than the ship. Are you still filtering though the ship and uniforms through the correct Trek lens? I know in season 1 you were saying I could watch and just replace everything in my brain with what it should look like. Are you still doing that, or are you now accepting the art design and the costumes as, oh, that looks like Star Trek? Because that's still
No, it's definitely the Discoverse in my mind. It's like watching a Kelvin film. It's not Star Trek. It's not Prime.
But it still feels like Trek, even though if you're not seeing it through the lens of Star Trek, then how?
There's a more Trekky story as far as the crew ensemble piece going, because there's more of the crew working together. We even got more Bryce, I think, in this episode than we did in all of season 2.
Yeah, in rewatching, I thought they were going to give those 2 more. They gave them nothing, like a line or 2. I was like, come on, guys, why can't you give them more? I know we're going to go to that, but I thought they need a little bit more. Okay, so it's alternate Trek to you through and through now. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's the Discoverse. It's its own thing in my mind. It's definitely compartmentalized.
Okay.
Strange New Worlds will be interesting because I think it'll feel more like TOS because of the colorful uniforms and more TOS colors, especially on the ship. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But
when they were trying to fix the ship and the lighting is so dark, you realize that the ship is basically just grey and silver. Sorry.
Yeah.
Grey, silver, and blue. It's a very dull, and when the uniforms are blue, there's no colour on the ship at all. It's kind of stark. Then they go outside and they're wearing grey in a blue environment. It's kind of weird how there's basically no colour in this episode at all. And then you look at the TOS, it's bright, powerful, popping. It would have been nice if they had upgraded the Discovery to a more TOS colour palette, and the uniforms especially. For the end of season 2, they've been so satisfying. Would I think made this episode better to have more than correct uniform colours. Like, how they've got their division colours in their uniforms. You can't see them. Like, the gold and the blue doesn't stand out whatsoever. They're incredibly subtle. It's but I mean they couldn't have, they did that in season 1 with a different idea, and now they're kind of paying for that in terms of like very bland lighting because there's the sets. What can you do?
Yeah. We got 3 super chats, and then we'll get your thoughts on it. Jeff Jacobs, $2, 100 and under 15. Sweet.
Brilliant.
On to 150 and 200. Hashtag make Jeff pay. We can easily hit 150 right now. We have 180 people watching, so hit like if you haven't. Chris Carlin, £5. Much better episode. Really like Saru and feel like he wouldn't be out of place in TNG or Voyager. No, I really like his character. Pretty much everything about his character. The actor, the way he carries himself as a captain now. This season, he feels a lot more mature. And just even the whole thing, the walk, the makeup, the shoes, Shoes are cool. Danny Shields, though, 20 euros,
Ooh,
which is amazing. Thank
that is
you.
amazing.
According to TOS, dilithium is a power source, not just a regulator. So it makes sense that the loss of vast quantities of something that rare would devastate an interstellar society based on that mineral. You say that, but they also called it lithium for a long time until they realized that lithium was an actual thing that existed. So they changed it to dilithium. And for the first little while in TOS, it was kind of a not really consistent as to what the hell it did. So I don't accept that it's a power source
And
at all.
unfortunately for you, sir, TNG, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise, TNG movies, and TOS movies all retconned it as being one. So it's like the Klingons. Yes, you can say for 80 episodes look one way, or for 350 look another way. It's like, I'm sorry, at that point, that's the canon. TOS might have invented it, but that was also one time in the 60s. So if every other material says one thing and one says another, just like with Discovery, like that's not how TOS looked, because we have every other source material. It's obviously not how it looked. So just because TOS said it, I mean, as I'd always joke to you, Stuart, TOS 3 times in a row has the strongest material known to man. 3 times.
Yeah.
They didn't.
It's all different. Yeah.
They didn't invent 3 new materials the strongest to man in the same month. So yeah, you can't really use that as an argument when they obviously, the Akudas and Rick Sternbach all try to make it consistent for the next 40 years. Yeah. But thank you.
Ravebane, though, $5. Couple of nitpicky complaints. Kind of annoying that the universal translators seem to selectively work and the whole ship starts up when one relay is fixed. The one relay thing, yeah, I kind of agree with you. The universal translators, I thought about that with the pidgin language or whatever. That's always been a thing, though. The universal translators are very selective because sometimes a Klingon will say a Klingon word. What does that mean? And then you get the translation. Just assume that the universal translators don't understand the word, I guess. But
I mean, to be fair,
it's just one of those. It's a conceit, unfortunately.
You do have to talk into them to learn the language, and they didn't talk enough for it to translate it. Like, they're brand new to this world. It doesn't translate languages never heard of by default. And also, they're in the communicators, and they didn't pull out the communicators, etc. So I mean, remember, this is a weird era thing, because in Discovery they actually had to physically pull out and listen. So they were speaking Galactic Basic, the others weren't. There was no use of translating happening here. So everyone's speaking English Basic. We haven't got into the whole. I mean, they're obviously going to ignore that as a season one scene thing. They're going to ignore that instantly because most of Trek does.
Yeah.
But obviously in TNG, it's a passive thing. It's just part of the combat. It just happens all the time. Although did we ever seen, or was that Orville, where the translator goes down, everyone speaks different languages? Was that Discovery? I think it was. I mean, everyone's like someone, and like everyone's speaking different languages, and one's Russian. I don't know. Pretty sure that was a thing, and it was kind of clever. It was weird, but it was clever.
It's always unclear. Is it in the communicators? Is it in the communicator badges in TNG? Is it implants in their ears like it is in Deep Space Nine? So it's always just one of those. It works when it needs to work things. Unfortunately.
But I can imagine that the languages got so universal at that point in the timeline. And besides, Corridor people spoke English in Enterprise. And they didn't have universal translators yet, so.
Yeah. The Trembler, $5.
Thank you.
Liked episode 2, still enjoying the world they set up, but having so much conflict on ship got tiring. Some sure, but too much. Sometimes the crisis is enough. There wasn't any conflict on the ship at all, except for Giorgio being a bit of a bitch.
But that's just character dialogue. There isn't. I mean, the ice for sure, but that gets abandoned within 8 minutes. Trembler, really, I thought they were doing quite a good job of not having interpersonal problems this episode. I thought everyone was like togetherness. I mean, obviously you got Jet Reno being a dick, but that's just who she is. She can't, she's just. I mean, okay.
She's not being a dick. She's just being herself.
You know what I mean? Like that sort of character is like the fun dick. Not in a bad way. Well.
Danny Shields, €5. So the retcon is canon. Yes.
Well, that's how retcons work.
Because. Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And when in the 60s, when you just start a show, like I said, they called it lithium for the first little while.
Oh, space warp.
Yeah. Or the time barrier has been broken. Like,
Starship class. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, right.
It's all explained later by
Clever writers,
silly
etc.
things in technical manuals and
Yeah.
stuff. So
That's why, with Enterprise retconning the Klingons, we needed to see in Discovery all three types. Then they could have added their own Klingons, had a bit of a weird thing, but have all three. They really screwed the pooch there as well. But yeah, that's how.
yeah,
That's why the Picard retcons are annoying, because they're not smart writers retconning the past. And same with Discovery. It's like, oh, that's a shame. We haven't seen the Klingons for 80 years. Really? That's a weird retcon, but it's canon now.
mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate but
Mm-hmm.
true.
So if in your headcanon their power sources, you do you, man.
Yeah,
Headcanon's there for a reason.
we're just
so,
the tech guys, so we got to stick with the canon.
yeah. Stephen W. Fathery,
Good to see you,
$5. I wish the USS Discovery interiors looked like the Discovery version of the Enterprise interiors. That would have been perfect. Well, yeah, the Enterprise interiors came later after they said, we won't have Kirk or Spock. We won't have the Enterprise. You won't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe for season 2 we should, because nobody likes this show.
Although, remember, Discovery is actually a newer ship than the Enterprise, because it was built in season 1, so actually the Discovery is a newer version, even though it clearly isn't, but whatever. And yeah, I mean, the sets aren't great. They're generic and okay. And I think there was a distinct difference, though, of being able to pull the camera through the set, that it felt more movement. Like walking through a plane of grass is one thing, but to walk through 5 sets with expensive stuff, kind of, you know what I mean, has a certain extra although they're quite plain sets as well. It's quite a weird. I like Jeffrey's Tube though. That was nice. I don't know if we saw that before. Thought Jeffrey's Tube were nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, we got a purple, a ready purple. What color is that?
John
Is that
Harris. It's like a pink, but not a neon pink. Maybe a hot pink. I don't know. It's the pink. It's a pink though. But John Harrison throws in 50 pounds, which is amazing. Thank you, John. Amazing. I've been watching Stargate Universe again. In season 2, there is an episode where they have to fight a drone ship. The drones even come of the ships. So in Discovery season 2 finale, we see Control with drone ships. Just saying, the Jets cam drones is a Kino. What?
Yeah, no, that all fits. But they're definitely better in Stargate, the drone ships. Far more interesting. And yeah,
cool.
It is funny how when Jet invented the flying drones, and then we see them in the future. Because we always saw them in the past. It's like, okay, I guess drone technology hasn't improved in 900 years. Really takes the wind out of those sails.
Yeah. And Ryan K says it was a cobbled together language, and the universal translator had very little exposure to it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I kind of like the pigeon as a word. It's just quite a fun way of saying. It's just like the most basic. That was a good little moment. That was clever. Yeah,
it's also like 900 years in the future from what the universal translator has. So.
And they're also using a pre-TOS one. Like, it's not an advanced one. This is a real rustic, basic one. If this was post-TNG, maybe. This is pre-TOS, and in TOS it was still like, let's hold a rod to your face. Let me talk. You know what I mean? It's not advanced stuff.
Yeah. Scotch puts in $10.
Brilliant.
TOS crew used nuclear power to capture photons and regen dilithium that was almost completely depleted. Wonder if the Federation thought to dig up Kirk's old logs and go refuel stranded ships. They would have had recrystallization methods of their own at that point, because they already did in TNG. And this was good 800 years in the future, 810 years in the future before the burn happened. So you think that the technology would have advanced to the point where, yes, they could do their own recrystallization without using nuclear power.
And who really thinks the relativity still used dilithium? You know? That is so advanced, I don't think it would do. But it's not so much... think about... The fact they couldn't save dilithium meant it was such an amazingly bad event, It's like if a weapon goes through shields, that's a powerful weapon. You don't need to explain how necessarily. The fact that it does is like, oh damn, it's the next level, Yeah.
Well, that's it for Super Chats.
Okay, now, so what did I think?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to get to. What are your thoughts?
When rewatching it, I've sort of similar thoughts. I thought... so it was okay. Definitely less good for me than last week, because the world building was less full on and less creative. While the Discovery sets are, expensive in a sense, they're also somewhat limiting, and when they don't feel canon, don't feel very Star Trek, you keep seeing scenes that you're kind of just, it's like watching Picard and whatever talk in the Les Arena. You're like, well, this could be anything anywhere. I'm not really engaged with this because it's not. Whereas you see a corridor walk through the TNG halls, you're like, oh, that feels right. You know what I mean? There's a bonus that just a bad art design is still, I'm not going to get past that because it's still a problem, But yeah, Saru is good in this, although somewhat more plain than he used to be, but he's more captainy. It's always that thing about command. The captains can't be the emotional ones. They can't be full on, but he does captaining pretty well. Side characters, you think they're going to get more than they do in this episode. They kind of tease more, but it really felt like they should have brought Bryce and whatever his name is instead of Tilly. Like, if you're going to start presenting the other characters as being important, I would have brought them. I mean, Tilly was a bad choice for this, especially since we've got the Nan lady, whatever her name is. Like, she's much more qualified. And there's some odd choices here, just to kind of like, well, we need Tilly. Someone people know. Let's put Tilly with Saru. Why is she there? Just because she's there. And we'll get into that later. But there wasn't as much thought.
She makes a good first impression.
Sure, but experience could often beat. As you said in our review, she was useless in the fight.
I would have taken Nan personally.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few odd choices, and the crash is not very good. It's pretty poorly done. I mean, they did better in Voyager 25 years ago, and in Generations. The end is not very good. Not the burn thing, that's absolutely fine. That makes sense narratively wise. Just the actual lifting off being undamaged. They really. It's as if the team and Discovery, they said, right, we don't know what we're gonna do in season 3. We're gonna put uphill in the future, work it out later. Okay, boom. We filmed season 2. Let's plan season 3. Okay, we don't like the idea of them being in the future without being important. Let's use the first 2 just to get past the initial hurdle and then move forward. And so they just wrote these 2 stories, both simple, and then they can just move past it, because you shouldn't have had them be able to fix the entire ship within less than half a day. That said, you can also build a time suit in less than a few hours, so their timescale, just like going to Vulcan or Kronos in 4 hours. These are the timescales we get in modern Trek, where it doesn't matter, they don't care, it's not important, moving on, whatever. So I think there's definitely some weak elements here, and as someone who is fine with the secondary crew, none of them have shone particularly in the show, not particularly, not as much as they should have. And again, rewatch it, they're not in it as much as you think they are. So Saru's kind of doing the legwork. I think Culber, the Doctor, does very well this episode, and definitely just resets from his previous 2 seasons. He really does well. I think but he's also acting more than everyone else, who's just kind of in the scene. But he really shines in this episode. Jet, I think, is sort of providing to be a one-note character, so I hope she gets more. And you can tell she's not that comfortable with the sci-fi technobabble. She kind of says it in a not as organic way. And there's even a line in the Jet, even in the bridge, there's a clear dub over where she didn't say the line correctly, and they had to stitch together some. I mean, it's really subtle stuff, but not everyone's good with that. LeVar Burton is genius with it. That's fine, but she's not as comfortable with that stuff. She doesn't sell it in the same way. That's fine. And Stamets, I'm looking forward to seeing more of later. He was okay this week, but again, sort of one note. And having rewatched it, he does know what he's doing, which is weird. He does know what he's doing, where he's doing it. He's the actual one that found the problem. So of all the people in all the ship, he's the one that found the EPS conduit, and he's the one that went in to fix it, and he's the one that brought the kit. And Jet's like, do this, and he's like, yeah, I know, and it's not my first rodeo. So it feels like he's a chief engineer, though he isn't. So it's a really kind of don't think about it episode. But that said, all the stuff in the bar was pretty good, very long, but good long. And the villain's great. Hope to see him back soon. The corridors were great, and in fact, it has going back to Enterprise where you see the makeup. Super faithful. It's probably their most accurate, except like Morn replica. And I'm happy to see that. I know we didn't get close with the Cardassian, but the Cardassian was very close. The Morn is very close. These guys are very close. I think they're saying, we're just gonna do them properly this year, the old races, because they're all really close. And it's like, great. Yeah. Like, there's no fuckery. I mean, they're just doing them right, which is great. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. Nothing particularly stand out, but building up the vibe slowly. I just wish they maybe made like 20 minutes of fixing the ship rather than 30, and maybe one other scene, so it wasn't just 2 locations, the whole thing, I guess, and the walk, but the walk was pretty quick. They needed something else to happen, a bit more zazz.
That's how I felt about the first episode, with the kind of bland, Buck, and then the beach, and then just the mercantile.
Really? Had more locations though.
Yeah.
They kept moving places. But I guess it was more.
But they were. It wasn't for me though. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one outside, even though it's a totally different looking outside, it's still just an outside, But I guess same with Discovery. It's like, I mean, it's just another Discovery set. It's not particularly impressive, etc. But yeah.
Yeah. Aussie Madras $5. Tilly almost said the F word. Okie dokie. Skeleton hands.
And that was good.
Yes,
I thought
she
that was a
did.
good
That was
balance.
That was an appropriate one.
Yeah. Because you get the exact same effect without actually having to say it. So it works. Yep. Like that's good. Good for them. Yeah.
Area 51. CBS tagline for season 3. Star Trek Discovery season 3. This time, no fuckery.
Well, there
you go.
The nice thing about this season so far is that they aren't making the same sorts of mistakes as the first 2 seasons. It does feel like a fresh start, but it does feel
making all new mistakes.
I mean, not really. Not like.
I know. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking it so far.
Like it's not amazing or anything, but in comparison to Discovery, that's the thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's still better overall. Yeah.
Cole Tigan. Okay, what about Romulan singularity tech? We've talked about this multiple times. It's just the power source. It's not. Anyway. David Lutz. $5. What the fuck are impact shields? To survive a crash landing, suddenly we have impact shields, and that's it. Problem solved. I find the whole thing insulting.
Let's get into that, Stuart. That's not what they said. I just watched it. That's not what they said.
Yes.
Stuart, start us off.
Darkness, flashing lights.
Good imagery at the start. This is
her eyes open.
Yeah, they're all a bit effed.
So yeah, it's just,
gosh, that bridge.
They got some stuff on the floor doing this. Sarah realizes that and gets up, and they all come out of the wormhole.
One thing to note though in these early scenes, it again shows off how absurdly large the bridge is. When you have these long establishment shots, I mean, it's a ludicrous set. It's absolutely insane.
It's a great set. I'd love to be on it to see it, but it's too big for.
I mean, it's absurd. It really is. But yeah, they zoom out. I like the CGI here, and the planet, man. What has happened to that planet? That is a weird.
I know.
That's really interesting. Oy.
I just assume it's been mined to death, or there's an explosion under the surface that it just.
What do you think?
Because it's got pieces out in space, big chunks, which I thought was related to the burn. Like they were mining dilithium here on this side of the planet, and a big pocket of it exploded and ejected it all out. But that would devastate the planet, I think.
Yeah, and they did not mention dilithium. They did not. I rewatched it just now.
No, they didn't.
But they did mention. We kind of go. This is I think there's a rubidium they're trying to find to fix the comm thing.
Yes, rubidium. Yeah.
And they say this planet is naturally. Like they say that's what they have
rich.
It. Yeah. So we kind of find because it seems like quite an important resource. We kind of find if this planet was mined for hundreds of years, and like this is we've never seen that. Like what it looked up to mine a planet on a planet scale mining for like 800 years. Pretty graphic in terms of ecology.
Yeah. Go back a frame or two though, and I came up with the perfect answer to a question we've been having forever.
Stuart, let me zoom in.
Discovery shuttles are everywhere.
Yes,
please do.
There we go. Beautiful.
And I figured it out last night doing my first reaction.
This is
live.
genius. I support.
They never put the shuttle bay doors down. They never close the shuttle bay doors. They always have just the force field. At this point, it just feels like they're literally just trolling the audience because or the model's broken. They can't do it. The CG model. I don't know. Anyway, so they go through this temporal wormhole, which you think might knock out power. So it'd probably be a good idea to close the shuttle bay doors in case the force field, loses power. So what happened was they were in the wormhole, and it's a temporal wormhole, right? So
is it a temporal
the
anomaly?
Force field. Oh, it might be. But they'll never say it.
No, they won't.
So as it's going through the wormhole, the force field loses power. All the Discovery shuttles, thousands of them that could fit in that shuttle bay, as we saw in the last episode of season 2. They all fly out, and because it's a temporal wormhole, they're all getting ejected from the wormhole at different points in space and time, and they're just everywhere. And people are finding them and they're like, "Hey, this is a brand new shuttle. It hasn't been used. Look at this. Look at this design. We could copy this."
And it's got dilithium in it.
It's beautiful. Yes, it's got the lithium. Might not matter in all the timelines that it's pissed off to, but still, that's why it's everywhere in all the timelines. I solved the mystery.
Close the damn door.
We need to do a video on that, actually.
It's really, I mean, it is bizarre. It's really obnoxious. I just think that they don't notice. Like,
Well, it's a great visual to have it open, but not every time,
well, I mean, you made the joke I should re-render some of the Star Trek effects with the shuttle bay doors open. So you see a classic TOS flyby, and as it goes by, the doors just open for no reason. And see how that feels.
Yeah, and the Galaxy class, just all 3 bays open.
It's just, what? Or the Enterprise E, God, that's a lot of bays. Yeah, it storms out. I like it was a very different storm out to how... Because we saw a reverse. Burnham came out through the wormhole, this came out, but we were sort of following it down. And it definitely isn't Teradicium. I called that those rocks would be rocks, not debris, so yay for me. Called that out. And they all wake up. There is already rocks on the floor, but it gets more rocky. But it does come through with shields up. Shields are still functioning. They talk about having, what is it, it's time... jet lag. No, not jet lag. Jet says... Clearfield.
Oh, yeah, temporal...
thing where you get stuck against a wall and a rotated thing.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I'll find the line. That's a little bit later.
Because it did kind of... I mean, this is presumably a reference to Star Trek, where they go with the whales. Like, everyone goes unconscious and wakes up. I mean, they also went through time.
Yes. Yeah, it feels like my head is in a vice. The first is the wormhole, like G-force is only nastier. Must have knocked us all out.
Although she says her back is basically very badly injured, but she's standing there like my back is very injured, but she's standing fine. So I don't really... It's a bit... She doesn't act as if her back's basically partially broken.
She does, though. With the way it's not broken. She's got lower back pain, probably.
She says
it's
as
on the
if
same
it's
way,
real
very
bad.
stiff. You haven't had lower back pain because you're young.
No, I've had some. I had when I was younger. I had a stint of a couple of years. It was... Makes walking suck.
Anyway, I can totally relate to the way she's standing and moving later, so it's fine.
Yeah,
before we get any further in, though, we got some super chats.
Awesome.
Eugene, 200 rubles. When Disco passed through the asteroid, were those the trees on the asteroid's surface? Yes, it appeared so, which would have been a chunk of the planet.
And it's a real subtle detail. It is weird, though, but my guess is because they talk about how different oxygen pockets where things can be at different heights, because, so this is just a part of the planet which is above the planet, which is artificial. That is just a part of the planet.
Yeah.
It's the magic planet. So this is it's just a biome on a rock above the planet, which is part of the planet, which they then blow through for some reason.
And they smash through. And I love how she's like, brace, because that's what they teach you, like when you're a pilot or whatever. If you're going to have an impact, tell everybody to brace. You usually say brace for impact, but not enough time. So.
Although it didn't do any damage at all. It felt very underwhelming.
It did. Well, the shields were up still, so it would have impacted the shields, right?
It would be nice if they said like shields down to 43% or something, because there's a very lack of tension here, especially in the second watch. You basically just fall asleep through this bit because it's just like it doesn't mean anything. There's no tension of any kind, and they even talk about this maneuver, but they don't even really show it. It's like if the heat shields, this whole cool thing, they just skip it. It's like that's the exciting bit to see it. It's very weird. They sort of do it well and sort of do it absolutely awful. It's very strange.
And Detmer loses control here too, because she loses basically her panel's not connected to anything really. Yeah. Nothing's working.
It's broken.
It's not her fault.
Yeah.
Good tea, nice house, $5. Hey, Captain, I'm in Toronto, and I'm not able to watch on Crave on Thursday morning as I would for Picard and Lower Decks. How are you watching before 9 p.m.? Well, VPNs are not illegal. That's all I'll say. For some reason it doesn't come up on Crave until Friday, which is stupid because Lower Decks was available like 3 a.m. here. But it's released on Friday here, even though it comes out on Thursday on CTV Sci-Fi. So.
And Diesel asks, why do they care about going to Teradicium when Burnham's mum isn't there anymore? Because they were meeting Burnham there, as in Michael Burnham there. So if they are not there, then they're not where they're meant to be with Michael. So it wasn't the mum. The mum is gone. The mum does not exist in this timeline. It's about meeting up with her. So that's fine. But then we get quite a nice shield impacty fly down.
Still have a super chat though.
Oh, well that's super.
Chris1 puts in $5. Is it surprising so many crew remained on board, giving up everything, including family? Well, there's 88 people left. Yes. I think a lot. Somebody pointed out last night too. After I said this, I think a lot of it is a sense of duty and responsibility, especially if you know the ship can't operate without your position being manned. I think a lot of military people that might not have families or be very close to their families would be dedicated to Starfleet and consider staying around to make sure the ship's operating properly. Plus, I think it's also a moral, like a peer pressure thing, where if your best friends and your superior, your supervisor staying, you're like,
screw my wife and kids.
Well, like I said, not everybody has a wife and kids. Most people in the service wouldn't at that point because they're younger. This isn't the TNG era where you can.
And most of them seem to be women, so they obviously, I mean, they must not have kids. Otherwise, they wouldn't leave their kids in the past. If you look at the background extras, they're mostly women. So, yeah, I'm more negative against it. I think it is absurd. I'd be fine if it was like 20 people, but remember, this ship is designed to have like 130 simultaneous science planned, science projects. So most of the ship is just science labs. There isn't very many systems to control. Everyone's there just doing research. So a skeleton crew could operate it under 10 because most of it is just science labs and a big shuttle bay and a spore drive, which if you're not using, again, same thing. There isn't much room in the ship really for, especially the turbolifts. It's just a plot thing. They wanted a crew. They wanted extras. Because there's one split sequence where they walk through and the corridor is packed with people. Like, now we know 85 people. I'm going to count them at some point. I get at least 15 to 20 people in that one corridor sequence. And it's like, that's a fourth of the entire crew on screen.
You had thought there was only like 12, like the ones that are gathered together to tell Michael that they're staying.
Which were being
and
great.
I thought there were more, so.
It's just disappointing.
Kudos to me. I was right.
Because it would add more tension. If you had only her genuine friends, each of which made a genuine sacrifice, then you could have the limitation of, well, we can't part the ship fully because we haven't got the full crew. And I sacrificed it for you, Michael. I'm one of the 10 people. But when you have the doctor and her 9 nurses that all chose to leave their wife, kids, family, mothers, parents behind for a plan that we know already succeeded before they went through for a nonsensical thing, it's not justifiable. It's bizarre. 85. Like, I remember Discovery only. Oh, sorry.
I'm going to say Kipley even says there's also the fact that the galaxy was at stake. Well, yeah, I think a lot of it would be duty for the Starfleet officers, just duty to do their job. That's what they're there for. So,
I just think.
Plus, their exploration. They joined Starfleet for exploration.
Although,
what better thing to do than go to the future?
To be fair, though, we can also take the lower decks approach, where are they even going to tell the lower decks? Seriously, like they're in a battle. Are they genuinely going to say, all hands, do you want to come to the future?
They have to. They did. Pike did an all-ship announcement, I'm pretty sure, saying what the plan was, what they were doing, and if you want to leave, go to shuttle bay, whatever, or sea or whatever. I forget what he said. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he announced it to the whole ship.
Yeah, I just...
You can't justify that to anybody. Saying, "Oh, sorry, we didn't tell you. Now we're in the future. You're fucked."
It's just that's more believable to me than they all picked. It's just a bit daft, especially if it's for Michael. They've only known Michael for a year and a half, a year and 3/4. Like Michael wasn't on board this ship until she was a prisoner and she came aboard. 2 years and I'll sacrifice their entire lives for her. It just doesn't make sense to me. I would never write that. No, Daniel, we don't. We'll discuss.
Max Volume says, they're Starfleet officers. Why didn't the crew of Voyager and the Maquis hang Janeway for stranding them in the Delta Quadrant? I mean, the mutiny should have probably happened on Voyager, but yeah, it's the training, Starfleet training, I guess.
I mean, it was also to save people. I mean, it sucked, but she was following Starfleet procedure. Like, they can't hang her for doing her job. And there was a reason for it. Like, it sucked, but there was a reason. Anyway, so yes, there was some nice CGI, sort of nice CGI crash. They talk about graviton beams, so not phasers, although the graviton beams do puncture the ice in a way that phasers would. And they fire from the phasers, so I'm not really sure what they're trying to tell us they're doing.
I don't know. I hated the graviton beam thing. But the next line kind of makes up for it a little bit for me. They say activate deflector shields in bursts to cushion our landing. So using deflector to like. I like that. I like that. The graviton beam thing bothered me because I don't know specifically what a graviton beam is. I thought it would be a phaser setting. It seems to come from the phasers. I don't know.
I mean, if it just literally is pushing back, then why do they keep alternating its location? You've also got thrusters that and impulse drives, etc. Although then, speaking about how the crash is weird, they also say very quickly, shields down. So we know for a fact the initial hit is shielded, or at least deflector shielded, but the entire slide is hull on snow with rock underneath. So that bottom is shredded. It isn't, obviously, because they don't care, see episode 3, but it is a shredded part of the hull.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said too, the little prongs on the deflector, they'd be broken off. I made enough fucking models. You tap those with like the slightest thing and they break off.
Yeah.
Sliding along like that, when I was watching that scene, I'm like, ooh.
And to be fair, though, you can't see them in the end shot, but of course you can't, it's dark. Oh. And just a quick note, people said in the comments, no guys, they went into snow. So of course they're fine. Guys, look, here's the screen cap. It's a rock mountain with some snow on it. You know how snow is thin and not strong? It goes, like, the rock, you're going to hit the rock. It's a spaceship flying into the earth. The rock is going to get the impact. The snow's going to help a little bit. It's rock underneath, guys.
Well, they said glacier. I need the thickest part of the ice. 50 meters. Is that enough? It'll have to be. So it's ice. And I don't have a problem with the graviton beams breaking it up. I thought that's what exactly was happening when we saw the preview for it. Break up that ice, get it as soft as you can to kind of cushion it.
So that's an ice CGI?
But
really? I mean, okay, maybe.
Yeah, it landed on a glacier.
Well, I mean, yeah, glaciers kind of rock in it. But I mean, that's a weird choice of effect then, have it so black.
Yeah. Huh. Jeff Jacobs, 150, puts in $2, 150 check, 200, no problem. Then 1 or 250, hashtag make Jeff pay. Joshua Stearns throws in $5. I could choose to stay on the ship going 900 years into the future. Tell my mom I'll see her next millennium. Yeah. He would choose that. Matthew Wakanen, 2, puts in £5. Good job, guys. This is for that review you did of the Autobot Ark spaceship some time ago. Matthew, you're welcome. I'm a big Transformers.
Yes, you are.
The Trembler, $2. Now the Lower Decks crash montage is out of date. Yes, Lower Decks crash montage. They need to add something. That's okay.
Yeah, but I like this top shot. It's a nice directorial choice. Just a little note. I like the choice of that. Although it's odd that we have 2 different wake up Neo sequences, literally 4 minutes apart. Felt a bit odd. Like they just woke up once, now they wake up again. But yes, they made it, Stuart. They survived. They literally crashed from a time warp and lived. And the ship is not really damaged at all. Things just aren't functioning, which is not the same as being damaged. And we know later on they're not very damaged. But yeah, they're fine. Detmer's not fine. Although she may be fine. She has no concussion, as we know later on.
Well, she flew over her console, and we see the damage to her head and across her implant. But people, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when we had the flashes of them before the show really started, she was on the console with her both eyes open. So it's almost like there was an issue before this happened, because everybody else had their eyes closed and was unconscious, except for Saru, who when he woke up to see the stuff on the floor doing this, and that's kind of what led into everybody else waking up. So I just want to point that out. I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, but her eyes were open. So
yeah, I like the whole we all just sort of passed out. I like that. But yeah, this is a good opening. Detmer's ill. I still think it's something more full on, more to the implant, given how odd her illness, her thing was. Or if it's just I'm hurt, it seems a little bit since she saved the crew, in terms of like if the pilot is the one that you can credit for saving the ship, then she did a job. I mean, we don't know anyone died yet. I think only like a couple people died max. Like
one person at least died, one alien. Yeah.
But yeah, went well. Pretty good visuals, and Saru has a great speech after they learn that nothing's functioning. He gives a good speech of why, how, and who. And it's Saru is not freaking out, What's the speech? Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta get there.
Okay then.
Kind of went through some of that kind of quick.
And definitely
So everybody,
control. Nothing to do with implant. No, no, no. Control. Go
oh
on.
yeah,
No, no.
no, that's no. Um, but yeah, Kayla, she gets, or Detmer
Yes,
gets
Kayla.
sent to
Yeah.
sick bay. Um,
And people are saying, why did no one go with her? But like, they have no idea how many wounded there are. You've only got so many people on the ship. It's like she could be the
yeah,
least injured person in the entire crew. We've only got so many crew. You know, they got to fix the ship, I
yeah.
guess.
Let's see here. So we find out that plasma manifolds have been ruptured. Probably that's why things aren't working. So we got to find them and fix them.
Which seems like
And
an odd thing to suggest. Why not the ship's been physically broken? Why do you assume it's the power relays? Like, of all the things that would break, it's the internal power conduits. Like, I mean, I guess it's part of, like, the lights are flickering, but why not assume there's actual damage rather than just internal parts burning out? I mean, she's right, but
well, she's an engineer. She knows the
yeah,
symptoms. So
yeah. It seems like an odd thing for it to happen.
So yeah, Saru says we are completely disconnected at present. Yes, but we are also together and alive.
Mhm.
If Commander Burnham landed elsewhere, I trust she's aware that we will find her as soon as we are able. Begin a search for the affected relays and conduits. Inform all members that you come in contact with to do the same because there's no communications on the ship right
Yes.
now. Work in pairs and reestablish internal communications. So.
Well, they do have
Yeah, he's got a
communicators.
pretty good speech.
Well, they do have communicators which all work. So there is internal communication. It's called communicators, and clearly the doors still work because they move around the ship fine. So it's an odd like. I like Jet's line here of it's not Terralissium, is it? I don't remember being so icy. Although this is also an alternate future where the planet could also be colder. So
yeah, I'm still betting that it is Terralissium. It's altered for the future.
so you think Burnham didn't go here, or do you think it is the same planet? It's just in the year it got. Because remember the first planet was Terralissium, presumably, because she was piloting the suit.
I still think the first planet she showed up to was Terralissium. Yes.
And then so this one is as well.
I think so. It's probably the other side of the planet, maybe.
Oh, okay.
This would be my guess. There's too much similarities between landscapes
Iceland
for it not to be the same. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're using that production budget. Look at our production values.
Well, I mean, they also knew where to find Discovery. I mean, I guess they could have linked for graviton waves, is probably how they're going to describe it. But you know, if they also came in the same place again.
Yeah. Caleb Horn, $5.
Thank you.
We're coming in too fast. Reverse thrusters. All hands brace for impact. Voyager clips the mountain. Love the Western vibes with the baddies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Richard Cottam puts in £10.
Thank you.
Hello, gents.
Hello.
Someone use the D's own tractor beam to help land. If not, use all the support craft to assist. Why are they walking from the ship? Again, support craft. This always pisses me off. Well, they're not taking a shuttle because they don't want to be recognized. Because even Tilly at one point says, so much for keeping us, incognito, or whatever she said. So much for keeping it a secret of who we are, because they knew that they were the Federation. Because they weren't advertising that. Because this is the future. They don't want to influence anything, I guess, because they don't know where they are. So why take a shuttle? They don't realize that Discovery shuttles are still being used everywhere. So seeing the shuttle wouldn't be a big deal.
Blend in more, actually.
Exactly, but they don't know that yet. They think the shuttles have a life expectancy of like 40 years, 50 years, maybe 100 at the most.
900.
So why the assumption that they could use a shuttle is ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. So I have no issue with them walking and not using.
That was such a well said thing. That was great.
I know, right? So yeah, that's why they wouldn't use auxiliary craft, because this, yeah, that's fine. And they don't have a motorcycle on board. I mean, I know most starships do.
I mean, Beastie Boys are
Kelvin
still around, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll actually back you up on that. They explicitly say we can't give away where we're from, so a shuttle would be too obvious. I mean, yes, it's a bit naive of them to think that because they put their phaser in their bag, they can't scan it. Like a bag is going to protect them from a scan. So obviously they'll still know they've got tech, but it's better to whatever. Although again, if they're advanced race, they'll probably have scanners to detect the crash. So it's kind of a but so it's half silly, but also it's much sillier to literally land a 9-year-old shuttle next to them. I mean, it's a statement of potential aggression rather than peace. So I get it. It's just, boy, a long walk. Although, obviously, it's like, Saru is also very fast. He can, like, run absurdly. In fact, Tilly's, like, slowing her down. If it was just him...
Yeah.
We've always seen that.
And Lieutenant Commander Redshirt says, was weird the bad guy knew so much. No, not really.
Ooh.
He scanned the ship, and it probably has a transponder, and it's got NCC on it, and USS. It's pretty obvious what it is. So
I actually love that bit, and we'll definitely get into why. So it's funny how different people think different things, and then we're just like, oh no, there's an intercanon reason. It's interesting what people think what.
John Chanel puts in $10.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for clearing up why they didn't use a shuttle. Yeah. No problem.
This is why the chat's great. We love this interactivity. We love it. And if you can super chat, even $1 or $2, have the conversation, everyone wins. We love it.
Yeah. Matthew K puts in $10.
Thanks,
off to the beginning, but first, Voyager gets a hull breach. If you look at it too hard, but Disco belly flops into a planet, and it's like, nah, I'm good after a couple of internal repairs. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the lack of damage.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be flying anytime soon.
And Max Volume comments about it showing pieces by the end of the season. I mean, they have work bees, and we only see 24 adventures in a 365-day period. So they have most of the year to fix the ship. And most times only, like, hull scarring. I mean, they're always repairing it. That's the whole point. So, no, it's fine. They're also very Federation bound. We need to keep it up to date and keep it clean because we're Federation. So it actually works just fine.
Yeah. And Eugene puts in 200 rubles. Yeah. When Saru woke up the first time, that little wobbly thing on the floor looked like a nanite swarm. So is Detmer Arium 2.0 was controlled in her implant? Hell no. Don't even start with that bullshit.
But I
just think it's the debris that was all over the floor right now. All the space rocks, as people call them, the console rocks.
Very important.
It was just shaking, and because they're going through a wormhole, and the ship is doing this, it's bouncing up and down on the floor. I didn't think they looked nanite at all.
I mean, I can see why you think that, and I'm not going to disagree per se, but yeah, I think I don't want that at all. I think that would hurt it drastically, especially as they went to the future to stop control. Remember, they have the sphere data still. Are they ever going to mention they have a repository of knowledge from like 10,000 years worth of history that could, like, they have a... Is that ever going to be mentioned? It's never going to be mentioned again. Obviously, of course they won't. You'd think that any race would also get... Because remember, you can make a sentient AI with this. So it's still as dangerous in the future as it is in the past. Just move control over a bit.
Yep.
But I just think it was just the vibrations of, a time warp and also flying very fast.
Or could it be that since Detmer is not completely human, she's got a cyborg implant, and the nanites from Control got in there, could she be the first Borg? Dun dun dun.
In the future, and then
because
they go back
part
3,000.
Biological. Exactly. Part biological, part. No, we don't want to hear that shit. So no is the answer.
And Gridcube also points out that Discovery is mostly empty space from the mycelial forest rooms, which as we saw were huge, and they haven't changed those, and turbolifts, and the massive shuttle bay. So it is it is mostly empty.
And I said that earlier, that the big areas you see around the shuttle bays, or not the shuttle bays, the turbolifts, those are all like TARDIS. They're on the outside of the ship. So when it impacted, it destroyed all that space, and then that protected the hull. So now when we see a turbolift shaft ride, there's going to be like all just wreckage there. It's true.
Just walk through the old turbolift fields as it's just destroyed wreckage. Yeah. But we get this great little conversation, and you kind of forget already because season 2 was so long ago that the fact that any life is here is a win, and that's all they need. That's it. There is life. We win. In essence.
We get the confusion from Tilly about the planet, large pockets of atmosphere that have high levels of oxygen than the rest of the planet.
I like it.
And it's actually, let's see, each pocket is essentially a decagon, which would indicate to me that there's someone made them. And Suri says, so then we're not on Terra Lyceum. She's like, no, sir.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, at least Terralium in the future. You can remember they never went to Terralium in the future, so they don't actually know what ever look like. To be fair, but then we get Bryce, and he does good. Give him more lines. He sells this
yes.
quite well.
I like him. I actually like the guy.
Yeah.
I think he got more lines here than he did in all of season 2.
Well, definitely
But
season
he
1.
can't fix.
Yeah.
He can't fix the communications thing. It'll be a rebuild,
Yep.
which take about 6 hours, assuming they have enough rubidium.
Yep. And that's a fun way of saying it. It's like, yeah, bits are broken, but we can just rebuild them if we have to. No, I like this. Although what did you call the piece of tech he's holding? Would it look like a what?
Oh, it looks like a bug zapper.
Yeah.
And later, when you get a close up of the inside, it looks just like a regular off-the-shelf bug zapper.
And it's a bit weird how this essential thing that gets the sensors on, you just slide into a hole in a random corridor next to a Jeffries tube.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit weird, but whatever.
There's a lot of that, but whatever.
But Burnham, no. Georgia walks in with guts on her shoes. She has actively destroyed the body of Control. So remember, she is a space Hitler, and she's mutilated.
Maybe she's infected with nanites.
I mean, that would be a better reveal. I could see that. That'd be more interesting to me. And she is not happy, and she's aggressive to everyone. She tries to sort of take over because she is, she was an emperor of a kingdom once. But Saru, who used to be a second in command until about 15 minutes ago, talks her down and puts her in her place. Remember, he was her food once, and now he is her boss.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. She's very passive in this universe.
Yeah, her following the rules of the universe don't make a lot of sense. Lieutenant Commander Redshirt throws in £5.
Thank you.
As Atstera Sanley said, rewatch the scene where Detmer is in sickbay with subtitles on.
Okay.
I have subtitles right in front of me for each of these screen grabs that I have on my end. That's my full notes.
So we'll get there when we
Can't
get there.
screw anything up.
Yeah, cool. Looking forward to that. And I'm also wondering why she didn't try and take charge now, because she has literally all of the experience compared to Saru. She conquered an empire. She ruled it successfully. She then helped run Section 31. This guy was a science officer on a backwards ship for most of his career. Then he was the second in command on Discovery for 2 years, and now he's here. She has way more experience. I know she's evil, but she has all the command experience, and she's also joint commander. There's actually 4 commanders in this show if you include Burnham and Lady from the Enterprise. There's a lot, and we know how rare commanders are. There's actually a lot of commanders in this show.
Then we get the sickbay scene where he wakes up Stamets and is like, "Hey, we need your biobed." What? Are people worse off than me? Oh yeah. This is a great scene. I love the calmness to the craziness of him waking up.
Oh, a great side comment by Curtis. Sphere Data probably knows about non-dilithium FTL drives. Boom.
Oh yeah.
And if the Sphere Data is the solution to this season too, at least it'll make sense internally. To its own logic.
Yes.
Yeah. But how cool is this transition scene though, from a symbolic of his coma alone to that was a good bit of artistry there. That was good.
That was great.
Yeah.
Good tea, nice house, $2. When was Giorgio demoted to commander? Well, she was never demoted. She was actually promoted because she was brought in to pretend to be Giorgio for most of the people that didn't know who she really was as a retired captain. And then Section 31 recruited her and made her the rank of commander.
Yes.
So
she's not even a commander in Starfleet. She's a commander in Section 31.
Yes.
Which maybe she's full Starfleet, but I mean, yeah, she was never. And this woman was never captain anyway. Captain Georgia was captain. She was an emperor.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Michael Hines, £5. Regarding the planet, in the first episode, Burnham asks, "Is this Terralisium?" and Booker replies, "It's Hima." Yes, but just because it doesn't have the same name by one person, or just because the planet's renamed, it doesn't mean anything. I know in this one they say it's never really been given a formal name. It's our colony, or whatever we call it. I forget. But it doesn't mean it's not Terralisium, because it's 900 years in the future. Planet name could change.
And remember, Michael, it was called Terralisium because when they went to the future, Well, they went to the beta quadrant because remember this isn't the alpha quadrant. This is really far away, or at least the planet is. They asked the people, the people that were brought from the past. They all banded together, named the planet Terrelysium. When we went to find the planet, they said this planet's called Terrelysium, and then in the future, because the mum moved them, she knew it was called that as well. So it was called Terrelysium in the past, and all the future. But I mean, this is 900 years later. You know, alternate future as well. Things change. Yeah, no, they were in the past. Yeah.
Fleet Pass Swiftback, $5. What is Giorgio's rank? Sarah calls her commander, but she held the rank of captain. That threw me for a loop when I heard it. She never held the rank of captain. She was an emperor. I know. Yeah. The Trembler, $5. I think it's different planet from where Burnham crashed. This one depends on one courier. The other planets where lots of couriers meet. This side of the planet. This also... I guess. Fine. Whatever. I'm not going to argue with you.
And Owen says, but how many of them are noticed from the universe? It's not all of them. Yes, I can't imagine the alien guy knew.
No, almost nobody knows. Put it that way.
They just think she became her record. She's lovely. In reality, she's a real bitch. Like they just thought her record was wrong. Even though they went to the universe, but hey ho.
Area 51, $5. Giorgio getting the smackdown. That look on your face when your food disagrees with you. Right?
And it's funny because I like the fact that Saru can put her down and she takes it. Like it's good in a sense. It's just I don't buy an ex-Empress would take it, but I like the fact that Saru feels he can do it. It's
She's biding her time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, food often doesn't agree with you, and food poisoning will put you on the floor. So you better listen to your goddamn food.
Yeah.
If it doesn't sit well with you, don't fuck with it. Zachary Tyson, $5.
Hey,
Weird how callously they treated Leland's remains. The human was a Starfleet officer taken over by an entity, perhaps Control's greatest victim. Well, sure.
But remember, it was Space Hitler that destroyed the body. She doesn't care. Like.
Yeah, and he was also Section 31, which was kind of douchey. So.
Well, he was the head of it, wasn't he? No, just of that area, that group.
That part, yeah.
But I think it was just. I mean, yeah. Saru's not like, yes, good, you destroyed his remains, you know. But yeah.
And Fleet Pass was back $2. Yeah, I didn't realize Good Tea had already asked. No problem.
That's okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, he's awake.
Follow my fingers. Oh yeah, you can only go back to work if you can spell. What did he say? Oh come on, where is it?
I was in a coma and all I got was a stupid T-shirt. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Take it slow. Yeah. I'm a little behind. Oh, if you can spell. My partner brought me out of a coma, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. Spell it.
And in
your
fact,
brain scrambled. Yeah.
BJ Torn has a great comment that links it all together. If most of the crew don't know that Giorgio is Mirror, and they know her as Prime Giorgio, then why are they wondering she doesn't take over, given that she was a captain for 30 years or more? That's true.
It's a good point.
Because someone said that she shouldn't take over because no one would follow her. But yeah, if she's Saru's not a legendary captain. No offense to him, he's a commander they like. Giorgio should be able to take command and they're not going to out her as being Mirror. I mean, that wouldn't be good.
And if she knew that, she would take command over Saru. I think she's just biding her time, honestly.
I hope there's more to the story because I mean, it'd be kind of fun if she ends up like leaving for like 5 episodes and like basically conquering a whole massive thug network. That'd be great, brilliant, perfect, love it.
Well, supposedly she's got to get back in time for Section 31 show, assuming that's still a go. But
yeah.
Matthew DeFreitas, $2. Glad Tilly calls Saru Sir. Season 2 people were too casual.
Yeah.
So I'm in the. Then they cut to across the hall where Stamets is getting his whatever, and he spells T-shirt without a hyphen. But his cellular regeneration, 1 full cycle, 5 if you want to get rid of those scars, and then they got the relationship is back on track, which I like.
Yep.
And love seeing this scene. It really felt good.
Well, it's even more close than season 1. I think.
Yeah.
they literally went to death together.
Yeah. Well, Stamets says, "Good to have you back," and then Culber says, "It's good to have you alive." It's like, wow, what? Is this the script from last season? You got your roles mixed up.
Well, hey, yeah.
I think that's probably word for word what they said season 2. It's probably mirroring that. That
Yeah.
whole thing would be my guess.
Yeah, I like this too,
Okay,
although
so
it does feel odd. If the ship is this badly damaged with this many systems not working, why is the medical tech just working 100%? And you're really trusting the head spore guy to technology which is probably like there's a certain disconnect between the ship is damaged and the ship completely works. They don't care, it's both. It's very strange.
yeah, but it was brought up last night too. But just assume that the medical facilities have backup power supplies because it's medical. If something happens to the ship and somebody's on life support, you want that backup supply. Hospitals have it. So I can see it having its own ancillary power systems, even though the main sick bay looks pretty damaged and effed up. This one particular room seems fine. So
Yes.
I really don't have a problem with that. It's probably like a specific, well, it's regeneration room.
Which I guess we're going to see a few more times. It's weird to show a random room like this with more prop stuff. And definitely way too advanced for TOS, but that's okay. And it wasn't so much about the power, because I agree they could have sub-EPS conduits. It's more just like the crash caused damage, like to systems, and they're just assuming the system works 100%. It's like stuff's damaged, but we know the ship isn't damaged, just the conduits. It just feels odd. It's like in Year of Hell, if they suddenly cut to a room and it's fine, and they've got a medical thing. It's like, I guess we can have that with astrometrics, but they did make a big point of fixing. Anyway, it just seems a bit odd. Like they don't quite know what they want to say. Is it broken or not broken? Well, I can imagine this might have been a reshoot, maybe like a few weeks later when they've since cleaned the ship, because the ship it's only broken for a little bit because it feels too fine.
The Trembler, $5. Discovery crew at least know the mirror universe exists, and even that there was an Emperor Giorgio. Just have it established that they were told who she is. See, I can see people on Discovery knowing who she is, but when Enterprise came in, not everybody obviously knew from there. Even Pike didn't know right away. He thought he was talking to Giorgio that he used to play cards with at one point. So,
well, most of it until the end, he's like, "I know who you are."
Yeah.
Wink. That's good.
And he had to figure it out on his own.
Yeah, that's good.
So now we've got the Detmer scene in sickbay with subtitles. One of the aliens died.
Yeah.
I think that's part of her PTSD. Maybe why she feels like she's responsible for the death. It's kind of a stupid thing, but
she felt too zoned out though. For me, I that's a good point, but she feels like she's not seeing anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very kind of hazy, the sound and stuff here.
Classic post-bomb next to you sort of vibe.
And the doctor says your neurological tests are clear, no concussion, you're good to go. She said, what? I said you're good to go. Is there something else? No. Thanks. And then she walks out of sickbay and ignores Dr. Culber. So I don't understand what subtitles I was supposed to be looking for.
And
there's not much said in this scene.
and like I said earlier, if this is just she's a bit knocked up, this feels excessive.
Knocked up?
Not
as pregnant.
Well, no, knocked up. Just a hurt, a bit hurt. It's just too. I hope it's more important. Although I give him a lot of credit. This turnaround of shot is both artistic and also the way they do the VFX of the motion tracked 2D light effect healing her scar, which is a 3D effect, is really well done. It's really seamless. I mean, they're hiding it super well, but considering it's a full 360 tracked effect, it's really well done. The CGI is definitely better in the show on average. I like that the Nan, is that her name?
Yeah, Nan. Yeah.
She's still a Nan. She's still in her full combat gear from because she fought Control like 45 minutes ago. Like that was today. So like she's still in the same outfit, kitted out.
Well, speaking of, sorry, this is a ready room, I guess. The communication things need to be repaired. They don't have enough rubidium on board, and no translate or no translator means no communication, not within the ship and not outside the ship. So
yes, they like to re-establish that again and again, don't they? As if we don't all know.
Yeah,
it's like we're all scientists.
The planet's got a huge natural supply of rubidium, as well as several other minerals, and she can even identify ships that seem warp capable, but she can't get any kind of reading on dilithium at all. So she's kind of confused by that, which I think is fine. But yeah, they decide to basically, Saru's like, okay, Tilly, you're coming with me. We're going to go. And Nan was like, what? Her? I'm sorry. Because she's like, I'm the security. This is a strange alien planet. Why are you taking her? I totally get this scene. It's great. But we get the reason for that later, which is fine. And Giorgio, of course, is just being a bitch.
No, I thought the scene was super well handled, and I love this is that world building stuff that I was kind of missing this episode. It was last episode had a lot of it. The idea of the whole warp capable but none. Like the way it's said is really interesting. Like go of information, and the fact that we do cut to the table, which was a big part of season 2, with like, hey, we're all comfortable. This is Pike's room now. It's destroyed, which again doesn't fit with the fact that the ship's fine, and yet there's a lot of damage. Whatever. But yeah, although it's odd that Sarah doesn't quite make too much of a contextual mention to how he says right at the start, we can't visit them yet, we have to focus on ourselves, and yet he's going out straight away. I wish he'd made a slight comment about that. Like, he just kind of goes straight into that without, I
think that was established with the lack of communications and not being able to rebuild this thing on the ship. They need to go out to get it. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Just an offhand, like, I guess now is the time to go out rather than just we're doing it already. And yeah, I absolutely adore I'm sorry, because yeah, she's a commander in Starfleet. Commanders are hard to get. You're a second in command ostensibly, or close enough to. Like, you severely outrank this young Tilly who's a barely an ensign in terms of she got brought out of academy soon. Yeah, send her. Put her in more scenes because she's good. She has a certain understated chemistry, which is great.
I love how Giorgio like insults Saru as well. Like, they have artificial pockets of environment. Yep. They're not like some primitive Kelpians.
I mean, it's true. They didn't know about space travel until like this year, and I was there. But it's true. It's like, guys, we're in the future. We don't have to. The Prime Directive is a weird thing right now. We're already in the future. Everyone has warp tech. But although Saru's comment about we shouldn't let them know about past events that could change the future, I'm like, how? I get in the generic sense of if you know the past ship, it's interesting. But dude, other way around. You're not going to affect the future that much by having a ship that's antiquated and people that don't know anything about the future. You're not going to. You're not that important, man. Now the spore drive. You don't want people learning different, but
yeah, you don't want people learning about the spore drive or the control information that's aboard Discovery. That's why Discovery's existence was hidden in the past.
Yeah.
So to reveal too much, let's say those files did get out at some point, top secret files. Yeah. You don't want people coming after the ship for the control information.
See, that would have been perfect if they'd said, we have the sphere data. We can't have information get in the hands of the galaxy. But I bet we're never going to mention that again, even though it's currently in the systems of the ship.
Right. Lieutenant Commander Redshirt, 5 pounds. Telepathically, your neurological tests are clear. Maybe it's a Netflix thing. What?
Oh, he's saying that they said it telepathically to her? Detmer?
They didn't. Jeff Jacobs just rewatched the scene with the subtitles on, says there's nothing hidden there. She actually says that. So we have our moderators checking that out as well. So just in case.
Medallion says you can still influence a primitive culture even from the past. Yeah, but they're not primitive. That's the whole point. They're warp capable. That was the entire point of the conversation. It becomes redundant when you know they have warp tech. That's the point I'm making. If it was any other thing, you'd say yes, sure, but it's not that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
The guts.
So anyway, Giorgio gets put in her place.
Yes.
Tilly's coming with her, and Giorgio is there to monitor or be in charge of the EPS conduit repair. It's like, what? Okay, fine. I mean, that pissed me off. To
be fair, there's nothing else to do on the ship except fix the ship. So there is only one job for everybody. To be fair, and that's the one problem with the ship. Apparently, just the EPS conduits.
Oh, and then we get scooping up somebody named Gene, scooping up.
Nah, I've already forgotten the name.
What is Discovery?
I've already forgotten the name.
Have you forgotten? Oh, it's Gene. I know why you're saying that, but yeah, and just Stamets and her together are great. I love these two together. But anyway, He's back on duty. I mean,
Barely.
yeah, barely. This wasn't a good team to pair up. I mean, he's like the chief spore guy. She's an actual chief engineer of another ship. But anyway,
Although she has no
you think
formal
they'd
rank
put
at
them
this
with?
point. She's no formal position. She's just there as an engineer. Not
Yeah, you
formally.
think you'd put them with people that might actually need some more help, that are more able-bodied at this point.
I
But
mean,
whatever.
technically speaking, in this room, they're the two most qualified people in the ship. And they're
Yeah.
working together on. I mean, I guess it's the main problem. Although he works out where the damage is and what it is, and he's gonna go there, and then she's just sitting around. I would have had her like in main engineering, talking to everyone, helping fix problems. Like that's her experience is far more useful. And isn't it disrespectful? She doesn't care who Jean is. Like this is part of the engineering team. There's only 85 people on the ship, and it's a
She calls
science
him
ship.
hazmat.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't. That was not an unnecessary. That was not a necessary comment. She just said, "Gene, I'll call you Hazmat Guy from now on." Like a nickname's fine, but that was unnecessarily unnecessary.
Yeah.
Makes her look like not a very nice person. And this is now her family, Jet. You know, you are now stuck in the future with these people. 85 people. This is it. You chose to come here. Don't be dicks to them. Come on.
I'm sorry, what? I wasn't listening.
Sorry, who's Gene? Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so Tilly and Sarah get suited up and head out, and there's a pan from the back of the ship forward, and the shuttle bay force field isn't even on right now, so the shuttle bay is completely open, and I can't see any shuttles because they're scattered throughout space and time. I can see cargo crates, but
Oh, I don't have a screen cap of that.
oh,
There's
I do, because they pan from the back of the ship over the front.
Oh yeah, I haven't got. Mine stops before they actually get to the shuttle bay. I guess you can see the shuttle bay's not on, but it doesn't. I haven't got a.
Well, it starts at the shuttle bay. It starts at the back and it goes forward.
Well, it's just,
But that's
just black here. I still wonder where are they coming out of, because they're
Yeah, I
perfectly
don't
lined
know.
up with it with a ramp at perfect level, and yet the ship is this. Like, I don't. I mean, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't.
They should
really
have
make
beamed
sense.
out, but then with
Yeah.
the main power offline.
Because they must have gone. I mean, you can see the ship must have come out either to the left-hand side of the front, but then that's not what they're looking at.
Yeah, I
I
have no idea
it
where they
kind
came
of
out.
is. I guess it is the front, but it's a bit awkwardly done. But you're right. Beam would have been, or take a shuttle as well. I mean, we would said no to that, but
Take a shuttle to an area close
Yeah.
to the encampment, because I don't know how far they are from, but they got to get down off this glacier, which can't be easy without climbing gear. In some cases,
oh
glaciers
god, I
are
didn't think about that.
possible to get off of.
Yeah, how do
And
they
you look
do
at the
that?
landscape. You get on the look at the landscape. It's a little rough. So I don't know how they did it either, but that's okay.
That's actually a really good point. Wow, yeah. And if they know they're walking, I mean, are they really going to walk like 50 miles? Especially if they're
See,
limited time. And if they're in like 2 miles, then of course they've detected you. Like they're as if they're like they'll have heard it. Like sonic booms are loud, and they came through and crashed. So there's a slight disconnect between the logic of the scenes when you start breaking it down. It's just kind of thing and bob.
I would have been fine with them taking a shuttle to get off the glacier, land like by the lake,
Yep.
then get out of the shuttle.
Yep.
Because that would make a lot more sense than climbing,
Yep.
which we don't see them climb down.
Or
But
work bee. I mean, they could have even taken work bees, something smaller. Yeah, that's great. No, I like that.
Mhm.
And then you get a conversation with these two.
Yes, and and every shot, as I said before, every shot with Saru framed with that Icelandic background is beautiful. It is just so well done.
Yeah, his makeup is still incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the
so,
blue eyes with that background
yeah.
just look great.
And we're so past like even thinking of him as a person in makeup. Like it's such a good skin texture.
Yep. But we get the whole, yes, I know you're scared. That's why you're talking. So continue talking. I love his captaining here. Like he understands everybody reacts differently. And she asks why her? I need an engineer. Well, Giorgio's an engineer I can trust. Plus, this is, we're going into the unknown essentially. Introducing ourselves to the future, as he says. And you, Ensign Tilly, are a wonderful first impression. And I'm like, okay, it's a good reason, but at the same time, I'd rather have Non with me.
Because what if they're
Honestly.
hostile or don't like you or anything above.
Have 3 people. Have 3 people. Take Tilly N on. Like, seriously.
Yeah, have her be the muscle, you be the captain, she be the whatever. I also thought it was very odd when Sari says Giorgio's an engineer. Giorgio's not an engineer. She was never an engineer. Where did you get that from? Like, she was never an engineer at any point. And even if Prime Giorgio was from the engineering division, 40 years ago when she was an engineer officer, that's not Mirror Giorgio, who also wasn't an engineer in Section 31. Like, have they not seen Star Trek Discovery?
No.
Like, that's not a line that makes any sense. He's just wrong.
8 more likes, guys. 8 more likes. 268 people here, which is great. 192 likes. Can we get to 200 likes? Yes,
guys,
we can. I know we can.
So
hit like if you haven't hit like, and make sure you subscribe, guys.
Yeah.
Then we get the Non and Giorgio scene where they find out it is a parasitic ice that's going to crush the ship because in the shade it's growing faster. So once the sun goes down, they're screwed.
And this sounds like a great plot point, but does GNDN?
It goes nowhere, does nothing.
It's implied like it's going to damage the ship. Doesn't damage the ship at all. Like, it's fine if they just said it will encase the ship and we can't escape, but it's heavily implied it is crushing and damaging, which would imply.
Well, they do say before we got to get out of here before we're entombed like woolly mammoths.
That's
okay. And then right after that, you hear that weird sound. Oh, that's a fun new sound, which I kind of like that line.
Yeah.
But Giorgio asked why she stayed on board, why she didn't stay on the Enterprise, and it's in respect for Arium. She gave her life, and she thought it was worth repaying that life for life, which is a very military way to look at things.
And she also fought her on the station, so she was much more involved in her death. I just remembered. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is the scene where they walk through the entire corridor, and there's literally about 25 people, which is a fourth of the crew, and most of them are women, which is fine, but it's like there's a lot of people. It's never been this many, which is funny because when they go to the turbo lift, they go to the next deck, there's nobody. So I guess they're doing deck by deck fixing, because they are like all hands on fixing deck. This is such a busy corridor.
It makes no sense that or it makes a lot of sense that where they open up the turbo lift that nobody's there because that corridor is not damaged. It's higher up on the ship. The lower decks are where all the damage is.
Yeah, sure.
And that's where all the crew is because they're repairing it.
No, it's a good visual. I'm just saying there's so many extras. Yeah. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. But Giorgio says she likes hopping universes. I mean, that was a great line. That's why she came to the future. And she said eventually Section 31 would have asked me to take over. And, that's where, what did she say? Politics or whatever is where fun goes to die.
Yeah.
Oh, bureaucracy is where fun goes to die. I like jumping from universe to universe.
Although I don't buy for a second that ask her to take over because, she was Space Hitler. Like,
asking her to join Section 31 I thought was bullshit.
Well, if you can control her, she's a good resource, but to have her in charge, I know she's just being an arrogant bitch, which is fine, but I guess a non-line. As someone also pointed out that they never ask the computer where to go. They walk in a turbo lift, they don't say anything, and then it changes deck. Which is a good
point. I never thought about that.
Me either. But yes, we get introduced to a character.
Then we see Linus.
Hope we see him more because he really impressed me in this scene, which is weird. And is his face
sneezed on them?
Is his mouth CGI or not? Because the effect is so good. The eyes must be CGI, but the way it works is so good. It's so well.
I would assume so.
I don't know.
But she looks really interested in him. Asked about his enormous visible spectrum. 74,000 nanometers, which is insane compared to humans. We should talk. And I think she's interested in the flavor of his eyes because she has that like, you sound like you're going to be delicious. So I was kind of worried when she walked off with him. But, we find out later that Linus said that Giorgio left. So Linus is still okay, guys. That's important. She didn't eat him yet.
Yes. I just took it as she's scheming something, and obviously he thinks she's good Giorgio. So if good Giorgio, ex-captain, wants a Saurian to help him with something, I think you're right. I think she'll be. I mean, she honestly might even be the villain at the end of the season in terms of wouldn't it be kind of fun though? You bring the worst thing to happen to this galaxy with you through time. Oh no, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be get off the crew. She doesn't quite have the right chemistry with everybody. She's kind of bringing the tone down and the quality of people down. I mean, she represents everything wrong with Starfleet because she's not Starfleet. She's literally the mirror universe Nazi Hitler. Like, that's the whole point.
Area 51, $5. Well, some poor guy with a shovel had to clear a way for Saru and Tilly. Hey, Gene. The Trembler, $2. In TMP, the Enterprise had a saucer hatch. Absolutely, it does. Had a few. We only saw one of them, which I'm fine with, but still, it's buried in the ice. And anyway,
it doesn't quite work, is what we're saying. It's a bit, of course. Although
contrived.
Although Joseph says, in episode 5, the crew keeps wondering where Lieutenant Linus went, but Giorgio has no clue what happened to him.
I can see that. But I mean, the Discovery writers forget about people, so. Fleet Pod Swiftback, $5. I think the Giorgio line was a gaffe of security. Well, no, Tilly was talking specifically about Giorgio because she said Giorgio doesn't think I'm capable. And she says Giorgio is an engineer.
No, it's very direct. It's unmistakable. Yeah.
But it was on her mind because Giorgio cut her down, essentially in that room where she's like, "What the fuck?" She almost said it, right? So that was on her.
Which is, why didn't you bring Giorgio? It's like
medallion, La Ines. I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's kind of like the goof where she walks onto the bridge and says, "Oh, those those red railings are actually orange." It's just they just didn't change the script, even though it's not what's on the screen in season 2. And she walks on the Enterprise bridge like, "Giorgio, what color are you looking at? These aren't the colors." But we get some exterior shots, some very well integrated things and bobs, and I only in second viewing realized that because this is the future, they're literally mining rocks that are in the sky floating.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're mining things in rocks in the sky. I thought they were originally I thought they were hovering ships, like in the second episode of Lower Decks, those kind of floating ones. I thought they were ships that weren't working anymore, but they're literally mining the rocks in the sky, which is quite cool.
Jeff Jacobs, $2.13. 200 plus. Awesome. Now for 250 and 300. Blew it to do it. Guys, hit the like button if you haven't already. But yeah, we get the conversation between Tilly and Saru where she's like, maybe this is a trap, this guy we're following. And then he goes into this field, zoom, disappears. And I'm thinking, all right, he's committing suicide. That's the suicide field, guys. That's where people go to commit suicide. Don't do it. They follow him in. How do they know it's not coded to somebody's or a certain species DNA, that they're going to be killed, stripped of their weapons, something when they go through this thing? They should have at least scanned it with a tricorder, I think, on approach. Even if she just opened her bag and heard a beep, and she looked in. But there's none of that. But it's kind of a neat hidden bar thing, like you can still see out where they materialize at the Old West Saloon. And SWTX Chasers puts in $2. Avatar much? Yeah, this is Pandora, guys.
Yeah, definitely
Just
those
so
vibes. You know. And I didn't think the point you're saying, but I absolutely agree once you pointed it out. I mean, the way the vibe is, I guess, just follow me. So there's definitely I mean, you could have attacked them for the last 45 minutes while they're walking. You know what I mean? So clearly it's not an aggressive thing. But her scanning...
they gave them that look and kind of the nod and then walked. But yeah.
But I mean, yes, they should have been scanning. Because you could have easily had in this little moment scanning. She say, "Captain, it's some kind of transporter." Put it away. You know, yeah. It feels very gormless. I think
it's more of a holographic. Yeah. I think it's more of a holographic camouflage thing, because they walk through, and then from the view from the bar, you can still see out that way, because you see the ships come, and later you see the ship parked.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Because I think there's a shot, I don't know if you've got it, where they do cut to a mountain, you see a thing in a mountain. But they could still be that high. There's nothing to say. Oh, there it is. So no, yeah, they didn't walk in because there is no way of walking in. So it is a transporter. But yeah, it could have almost been.
Oh, it's okay. But it's still on that side of the mountain. It's just up high.
Yeah, it probably just went
right
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, they walk into a space.
Asian pirate, $5.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry. What do you guys think about Section 31 taking place in the 31st century? Ooh, Section 31. Section 31st century. I like that. That'd be actually kind of interesting.
Or it would have to be Section 310 just to make it futuristic.
Dun, dun, dun.
Honestly, I have no thoughts. We haven't seen the universe yet to know. I'll wait and see. I mean, it would be so different. It's hard to compare. I don't know. Sorry. That's the worst answer I've ever given for a super chat, isn't it? I don't know. But yes, then they walk in next to a green screen. And for some reason, and I still don't know quite why, and if you guys think you know why, as soon as they walk in, they point guns at them. I mean, there's no initial situation. They go straight to guns. Even though this is a bar open, which they get them into, and they... Why is it straight to conflict when it's clearly an open bar with drinks that they serve? I don't quite understand why.
For reasons.
Oh, guys, what do you think? I genuinely want to know if you have any thoughts about that. I guess because they do say they know the Discovery crash. They do know there's a space crash. So maybe they're just saying we'll wait for them to find us. I guess.
Well, they could be anybody, because in a second they say anybody could be flying that ship, not necessarily the Federation.
Which is an interesting comment, is that there's more ships. Because I said to you previously that it makes sense if they can't power the ships with dilithium, then they'll have to abandon them at some point. Because if you can't warp them back, you can't get ships back. So I'm sure pirates and people just found Federation ships abandoned because they can get the crews off, but they can't. So yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see like lots of other ships.
Yeah. But they get surrounded. Tilly quotes the regulations saying we have to look professional at all times because we're Starfleet. And, it's really scary having those pointed at us. So either by strangers, so either stop pointing them at us or introduce yourself. So one of those things isn't true. I love the way she handled that. It's just very real. And the guy's like, all right, cool. And the other guy's like, what? No, fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Eric Sonder, $1 with the super chat with no comment. But thank you very much, Eric.
It's still just a super, though. It really is.
Yep.
But I could have comments to my question then. Tia looks very threatening. There's a first option. Strangers in town. They know they're from the Discovery and want to make sure they are real Starfleet. Old bar. Because what would a Kelpie and a human be doing together? And want to bike a bar unannounced, see what happens. Without interstellar travel, a bar like this would be all the same faces. Strangers would stand out. Yes, but it doesn't mean you should point. I mean, it's not a good way of making a first impression. Is all I was going for. Really, with that.
There's a scene here too where he's like, "I'm sorry, this is Tilly. My name lacks authority." What? I'm like, okay, you want to be a captain someday. You can't continue your whole career going, my name lacks authority. I'm going to hide behind a bar when it's time to fight. You want to be a goddamn captain? You got to go for that. You got to stand out. You got to, be in the thick of things.
Well, just remember though, Stuart, she's kind of like Boimler. She's right out of the academy. I mean, she's not remotely close to a captain. Like, she's so
this is
underqualified.
the same person. This is the same person that pulled off Captain Killy with confidence. And after doing that, you'd think would have a little bit more confidence that it's possible. It's within her to do that and not be such a... It's kind of let me down on her character, unfortunately.
I'll be honest, Stuart. Just like with Saru in season 2, they didn't know what to do with him. I don't think they know what to do with Tilly. Because she has no arc. That's the thing. She's not ever going to get more confident. Like, where's her character arc? She hasn't got one. She's just existing in this... No, it's not a bad thing. Like, where was Kim's arc? You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to have one, but there's nothing that she's doing. She's just sort of being and adding the one-liners. But credit to them again. Like I said, it's excellent Corridon makeup. The episode that Corridons appear in Enterprise, you can barely see them, but I went back in the very close. I knew Corridon because of Romulan War. I bombed Corridon, as I said, as part of my VFX work. Oh dear, sorry guys, but very faithful, very close, good. And this is a great example of they are a race from Star Trek, but they also could be random aliens. Why not make them a race from Star Trek? That's Lower Deck style, All credit to them, and they didn't stand out, they didn't whatever, but it was a great use of existing aliens once again. So full points, full points.
And SWTX Chaser puts in $3. My guess is they expected Captain Malcolm Reynolds.
Shiny. That's a shiny reference.
Yeah. But yeah, the guy lowers his weapon, introduces himself as Cal, and says they're going to help us. It's what they do.
Stuart, isn't Cal great? Wouldn't he be?
It's a part of them. It's how they are. I love Cal.
Wouldn't he be a great ensign? I'm sure nothing's gonna happen to him, so he'll be a great part of the crew.
I did say, maybe I could be
Yeah,
Starfleet, you know.
yeah, he was
And I
great.
really liked him. It looked like him and Tilly had a bit of a spark.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, is Tilly gonna get a love interest? Awesome.
And he's a Corridon.
Jealous, but awesome. Yeah.
Hey, you have a wife,
But no,
Stuart.
it
She's only vaguely jealous of
doesn't
you.
matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't.
But yes, nice disarm. They mentioned dilithium and everyone's eyes pop. And yet, the vibe here, I give more credit. The way they characterized aliens was brilliant. They were not vicious. They were not mean. They were cautious and obviously used to trying to defend themselves potentially, but a brilliant balance. And the fact that they obviously implicitly say the Federation does still exist. They still help people.
Mhm.
That's what they do. But for some reason they're not here. Haven't been for a while. But they still exist. Like they do know.
Yeah.
I have nothing to complain about with these guys. Even the more hard ass guy relates to them at the end. Just yeah, really great set of people, and all the dialogue here is really interesting to watch. It's most interesting for me for the world stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, and they also say that the planet doesn't really have a name. They're just a
yeah.
colony, and they mention Zareth, and who's that? Um, but they find out we have lots of dilithium. Our communications thing isn't working, so we'll make a deal. We're willing to help you out with dilithium
Yeah.
if you fix our communications array or whatever, our communication bug zapper.
Yeah, and they want so much of lithium to get all their ships working and basically everything. But since they say it in a few scenes, they can't make anything pretty much. So everything they can get have to trade for with one guy, and he obviously does the price. And if you can't leave a planet, I mean, this is why I said earlier, if you can't move around, all these
Mhm.
people are blocked off from getting anything.
Yep.
So suddenly having dilithium, well, they can suddenly start their lives again. They've been just having to live. There's only 50 people though. It's a very small colony of miners. But just a whole interesting set of dialogue.
Yep. And then we get the Stamets and Jet scene where he's like, "You're gonna go up there," and no, my back says otherwise. Yeah, I know you were in a coma. I've spent the last 2 hours hearing how you feel no pain. I just like this little interaction between these two.
Yeah, this is funnier on second viewing because you know what they each mean. When you watch it the first time, you're just like, well, he's not an engineer. Why is he fixing it? She should be fixing it, or bring someone else. But when you watch the second time, it's like, yeah, they know how silly they are. Like, they're trying to piss each other off. Although I still don't like her chair thing that she's pulling around. It's weird. I guess it's just
a toolbox.
Yeah.
It's a toolbox that opens up and it's got like a seat there.
Yeah.
The Trembler, $5.
Thank you.
I love the Federation still inspires awe and hope.
Yes.
Here with the galaxy shattered, there's room to find good Federation remnants and bad, plus bad and mixed. Absolutely.
And this is the difference between season 1 and season 2. There is still a constant hopeful message. Federation good. These things are important. You can have a broken universe as long as that message is still there. And that one thing really reinforces this show. So well on them.
So yeah, not much to this scene really. Just kind of the comic relief. And I had a few laugh out loud moments in the course of this episode, not just with these guys, but most of them were Stamets related and like Stamets and the Doctor or Jet. So.
But you can understand why people think these things are sort of just filler. It's like they're just. Like, they're not the best lines. They're okay, but they're not the best for the characters. Like, if Stamets was healthy, I think it would be much better. It's because he's kind of half-acting. He's not really giving it his all because he can't. He's ill. So,
and he looks like shit.
He does like shit. And Jet also can't be a full... Like, if they were really on fire... I think this is a good preamble to later on when they're just going to go at it. Because that'll be really exciting. But this is a... but these scenes don't mean anything in the grand scheme, really. And you don't learn anything about them either. But the next scene is great.
Oh, yes. How old is your ship? I've never seen anything like this. And then the whole reprogrammable matter.
That's the
she's never
tech.
seen.
That's future tech, Stuart.
That and personal transporters.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
She's like, I never saw Rubidium do that. What? Oh, no, that was a quiz. You passed. Because she knows she's in the future, but she's, still astounded by what she's seeing.
Yeah. And he's just this is clearly, this isn't an advanced group of people. They got basic shit. This is a basic repair kit. It's basically just a replicator that's more customizable that you can modify as you go. Because a replicator can do this, but because this tech is so old, but he's able to use a base a basic schematic in his database that had a basic way it sort of works similar, and then he used the existing one as a template to. Yeah, it's just fun, and he's like knitting it. It's a good visual. It's good sci-fi. I like it. It's nice.
Yeah. And she's like, "Wow, you're really adept at that." And he's like, "Maybe I'm Starfleet material." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it'd be cool if he like joins them on Discovery, and I'd be down for that." I like this character.
Well, he could be the symbol of like hope, and he knows some things. And I also like the fact that the way I took it is like she's like, "You're so good at it." He's like, "I'm really not, but thanks."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is
like the simplest shit ever.
Yeah, this is like I built a paper airplane. It's like, oh, it's brilliant. It's like, I mean, thank you, but it's really easy. My son does this literally every week and does it. But it's a very effective little moment.
Yeah. Then we get the bartender and Saru and talking about the Federation and why haven't they stepped in to stop his tyranny? And the guy's like, "Where are you from?" Like, and how do you not know who he is? How did you? Well, we've been adrift for a long time. I mean, so yeah, basically this guy blasted all their equipment so they can't do anything, and then decapitated the last courier and took over his route. So he brings what their only supplies because they can't grow or make anything there, so they're kind of stuck without him, honestly.
Which is what we're getting a sense of the whole universe. Although Eogan has an interesting point, but let's counter that because mining doesn't make any sense in a world of replicators and endless near free energy. You obviously forget that lots of things can't be replicated because they're too complicated. That's why you have mining. That's why you have to go and find deuterium because you can't replicate it. Replicating is good for simple things or constructing simple things, but they've still got to hand make or machine make phasers. You can't replicate a phaser because the internal components are too complicated. You can't necessarily, you can't replicate a diamond so pure it could do anything, etc., etc. So there's a reason replicators are good for standard stuff. You still got to make things and work things, So no, but that's the whole point. If you see a mining colony, it's mining real important shit because you can't replicate it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just I saw Jason O's comments. Her little captain's chair makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I think she was talking about jets. Yeah. But for some reason, I thought Tilly's captain. Oh, her hair. That's where the cat. Oh, wait a minute. That's a dark thought. And then I read up further and saw what she was talking about. Yeah.
I'll just mute Stuart for the next 5 minutes while
because her hair's a little ridiculous in this.
Oh, yeah.
Anywho,
but I like this conversation.
Zareth shows up.
This guy's good. Last thought. And I like that he doesn't give anything away because this is old news to him. It's the classic, they're coming. Who's coming? You could have said that in the first place, but in this context, it works really well. And I like Saru. As soon as he says lithium in the burn, so he doesn't say what is the burn. He's very careful at playing the game, which I liked. It was a good. There's layers here, which I really liked. Yeah.
Like an onion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, then the guy comes in and the first thing he says, "You must be our friends from the USS Discovery." I love his voice. "Hey Cal, how's the family?"
Yeah.
No trace of your vessel in our databases. We're an older model, aren't we all?
He's great. He's great.
Yeah.
And that intro is actually, I didn't realize how good it was until the second time. He's really good.
Then Cal speaks up and says they've been adrift for a long time. And hey, this is more than I've heard you speak since I've known you, Cal.
Yeah.
Our visitors must be having a gregarious effect.
Yes.
So yeah, then he kind of hits on Tilly and gets all creepy and he talks about the freaky signature that showed up just before the ship arrived.
Mm-hmm.
See, he knows a lot more than he's letting on. He knows that it's a time travel thing.
Mm-hmm.
He would have scanned the ship. No, it's Federation.
Well, because we see a ship come in next to it. I mean, that's the thing. Of course, and I think we'll go into it now. Then he knows the crew complement of the ship. He knows it from the future. He knows the name of the ship, the registry, because yes, he just scanned them. It's easy. I wouldn't even be surprised, I'll be honest, if he was able to hack into the ship's main computer. Like, why would that be?
And got all of the
spore data.
The sphere data, the spore data, or the sphere data, yeah.
Because seriously, why would you think it'd be hard? I mean, we saw, Braxton? No, Henry the guy in
Starling.
Starling, he hacked him instantly with 29% check. Of course they can, but it's so effortless. Like he knows these guys aren't a threat. These guys are literally fossils.
Yeah.
My hand phaser can destroy their ship. It can melt their shields. This is not a problem. So I love his relaxed nature here. He's very much in control of the situation, but not in a menacing way. It's really well acted.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things is where Sora's like, "Our mission is not your concern." Okay. Get these guys a drink. It's like, whoa, okay, this guy's cool. I love this guy. And this actor was in Hell on Wheels. He starred with Anson Mount, who was Pike, obviously, and Cole Meany O'Brien in Hell on Wheels. So I love this actor, and I'm sure he'll be back.
Yes. Yep.
I'm hoping he'll be back because he's a good actor, and I really want to see more of him. I liked his character.
I mean, you don't not kill someone like this unless you're going to bring him back. Just there's they're going to bring him back. But also the way they set him up, yes, he's an opportunist, and yes, he's somewhat vicious, but you do get a sense he would genuinely make a deal with you. Like, for whatever reason, when he's working, he could easily storm Discovery now. He chooses to make a deal with Saru. I do get a sense he would have upheld it. Like, he's being nasty to Tilly with it, but I do get a sense if he makes a deal, he will, like, he'll do the deal. Do you know, I mean, would you agree with me on that, or do you think he was going to betray them?
I think he was probably going to betray them. Actually, I'm sure he. See, to say he'd do the deal, Tilly, go get the crystals if you survive and can get back to your ship by yourself and climb up to the glacier and not bring back somebody on the ship. And there's a lot of bullshit that Tilly would have had to do for him to get those crystals.
Well, let's assume she could.
He had an alternate plan where he's going to get the crystals regardless by storming the ship. So,
but why does he just beam there now though? Like, he's wasting everyone's time.
I don't know.
And I'll get into that later, but why didn't he just beam them to the ship? Like, why would he make her walk? He would send one of his guys with a transporter, because obviously he has them too. Why would she walk?
Well, I was going to say because he might not know who's on the ship, but he does. So all those.
And he also scan them. It's a very, it's a weird little scene for that context. And also, I'm really thirsty. So I'm going to be back in a minute.
Okay.
Just a second.
The Trembler throws in $5. Thinking about being adrift for and Federation ships that were damaged but survived might there be many crews in cryo sleep traveling at sub warp 2 safely? Ooh, probably. In this new reality where you can't travel at high warp speeds, that might be a possibility. Don't know. I'll have to see about that. Tilly has a line somewhere and says just that. Says just what? Sorry, I took your comment, Jason O, as something dirty, but hi, I'm Captain Foley. Nice to meet you. Not sure if you knew that. Something I would do. No, but I really like this character, and the actor's great. I don't know if you guys have seen Hell on Wheels, but he definitely plays kind of the same kind of character. And he definitely has that Western look to him. So I thought it was great seeing him here. Because when I first saw him in the preview, I'm like, oh my God, who is that? It's so recognizable. And then I figured it out, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Because he's actually, Pike was in season 2 of Discovery. Here he is here. It's great. Just wish they could be on screen again together. Colin Barrett says, I believe we get to see 32nd Century Starfleet next week. I think so, yes. Or near warp with the time dilation effect. Yes, time dilation effect. We got to talk about that at some point. Jeff Jacobs, what? No Swede? Yeah, surprisingly enough, he doesn't fucking show up. He always showed up like a goddamn cockroach. But no, he's not here yet anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up, though, honestly. Oh, look, Samuel's back.
Little on me, there you go.
So, yeah, I read the last super chat saying about some thinking about being adrift. Federation ships that might be were damaged and survived. There might be crews in cryosleep traveling at sub warp 2 safely.
Well, actually, that'd be reference to Stargate Atlantis a bit, but that'd be kind of fun. Finding some ex-Starfleet officers and they'd be away repopulating. That'd be kind of cool. we find some 26th century people in Daniel's uniforms. That'd be kind of weird. That'd be kind of fun, actually. Huh.
But then the dude instantly recognizes this piece of ancient communications tech, which looks like a bug zapper. Because really, this close up with the light on, it's a goddamn bug zapper. But he doesn't even question what it is. He knows exactly what it is.
But I love his assertion
kind of
here.
Bothered me a little bit.
It's saying too easy, especially if the other guy doesn't know what it is.
Oh,
the fact that he's like, well, if they need you to repair this really simple thing to fix, what does that say about that? Like, he is clever. But it's a good point. Like, this is easy if you have modern tech. But you don't, because you're from the past.
Because you're time travelers.
So it's fun. But then things go bad for our friend. Honestly, of all the discovery moments, time of character introduction to death to caring, this was an absolute win for them. Seriously, like Jesus. Wow.
I care more about this character than most of the bridge crew.
Yeah.
Anyway, and this looks like very, very painful. Plus, he's on the ground. He's still like, you can hear it like sizzling on his chest still.
Yeah, they truly have a pain shooting filter. Weapons have got. I mean, you could disintegrate in TOS, etc. But this is the mean setting.
And she threatens Tilly because Sarah goes to reach for his weapon. He's like, if you do that, you're not going to live long enough to see her die. So now the stakes have been ramped up.
Yeah, but quite gently, as in he's just chill. And we do get multiple. Once you notice it, the weapon actually shifts from a sort of a flat when he's not using it, and then you go. When you're looking for it, they do it a lot. I don't know if you went back and watched the scenes, but
I haven't yet. No.
And there's actually when he's shooting Giorgio in a minute, every time he shoots and stops shooting, he re-clicks it back up, then clicks it down again as if it's recharging.
Maybe that's like cocking it. Like
it could be. It's a bit weird. He doesn't do it in other scenes, but he does in that scene as if he's bored with it. But yeah, it's a gun that shifts perspective. We've got to be on that coming soon, guys.
Which I wish we would have known that about when we did the video. But anyway. So yeah, he's looking through their stuff. He sends one of his guys to go check the perimeter to make sure that they're stupid enough to have come alone. And he's talking about, I'm going to give this to the Orions, and you can sell this old stuff. This is awesome.
Tellarite people, so even more they've splintered because that's one of the core groups.
Yeah. Then the guy speaks Pidgin, saying they should shave off Tilly's hair. They might get something from it. He's like, no, man, they're time travelers and with a spaceship. There's more there that we can take advantage of.
Yeah.
Olivia Julius, though, $5. Hey. Fancy vocabulary does not mean you're scary. Yeah. With Thesaurus, Captain Giorgio, Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah. And
the Trembler, $2. You got the beam as opposed to bolt weapon you wanted. Well, there you go.
Except there is a pulse.
There is a bolt later.
But it's true. Give us more beams. But I think we're a bit past that at this point. Hey, at least we got blue phases for Enterprise. At least we won that battle. And I love the fact that Sarah's just like, guys, speak English. And he's like, excuse me, man. You must be a new captain or something, because any captain worth his salt that's been around a bit knows Pidgin. Therefore, congratulations, I guess, in order, because you must be new. What a great way of saying that. I love that. It's great.
And they refer to him as a Vidrash captain, Vidrash, which is what Kraft calls the enemies he was fighting in Calypso, which is actually a take on the word Federation. So Vidrash is Federation. Michael Chabon tweeted that, Vidrash is just a corruption of the word Federation. So he says even a Vidrash captain would know Pidgin. Are you new? Congratulations.
Hey, that's a thing.
So there you go.
Maybe they will actually...
Kraft's people were fighting the Vidrash, fighting the Federation. So
maybe they'll actually incorporate the short, which seemed improbable, seemed improbable a while ago. But I just love the way he says that. It's like, dude, come on. Congrats for being a new captain, because you must be new. But I like that of universal language. It's even more universal. That's kind of cool. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Esperanto, basically. They invented a language that everyone could speak.
Yeah.
Easy. Space Esperanto.
And this is where he says that the burn was the best thing that ever happened to him, but now all that matters is dilithium. So, he says, Don't waste my time or your 72 crew members. 88. Because even the wounded, 88 crew members.
Which is weird that he would not just say the full crew complement. Like, so what is he scanning them and say, oh, that guy's got a broken foot, therefore I won't include him. Like, even if he means like almost dead.
I think he's trying to discourage them. Like, I just scanned your ship. I know how many people are still alive. This many people have died since you left your ship.
See, that would be good. That would have been a nice payoff.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Egan says, isn't he too young to see the burn? Oh, yeah. He just means metaphorically. Like, this was the best thing happened to me. Yeah.
And to be fair, we don't know what species he is. He could live to be a lot older. Who knows? He's maybe not human. So we get the information about the ice, how it's parasitic and crush the ship and everyone inside once it becomes dark because it grows really fast. So there's now a ticking clock, even though we already knew that because Non said it. But
and the problem with this, though, is in watching it a second time, this means nothing. There's again no tension. It's a setup with zero impact and payoff, so it does fall just flat. Doesn't matter.
And then we cut back to the Discovery, and this is where Non comes up and it's like, hey, so Linus said that Giorgio left Deck 8 to come out help here. Really? You believe that? Giorgio, help? Really?
She's like, I thought you were commander. She's like,
yeah. And then Non's like, oh, shit. And she leaves. I half expected Non to show up at the end to save their ass in the saloon. Because I figured she would be leaving the ship to go see what's going on, thinking that Giorgio left, which she did. It'd be funny if they beam back at the end with the personal transporter and Non's like not on the ship. She's walking to the saloon place and they just take off without her. They forget she's here because they didn't know she was on the way. Anyway.
But it's a good little setup. I know it's the next scene, but it's a good little characterful setup.
Yeah.
And then let's get Tilly to grab the lithium. The whole 150 units. They are, I still take it as it's probably going to do the deal. But yeah, sending her is a bit stupid considering they have transporters. It's like, just beam her.
Yeah.
Why is this a scene? And even killing her,
really?
Why bother killing her slowly? I guess he may just be waiting to let the ship get encased in ice, so he's just like delaying. But it's a bit wasted time.
Yeah.
Well, as I said to you earlier,
and I've seen what
this time is a 45-minute episode padded to 52. There is not full episode worth of story in this. They have padded it for sure, which is weird because it doesn't feel like it compared to Picard, but it's still not.
Well, they probably want to get their most out of this actor because maybe he doesn't come back, or maybe he's only in a few episodes and they want to use him to add a few extra lines with him, because he does get to say, "I've seen what the parasitic ice can do.
Yep.
I've seen it get down someone's throat." I'm like, getting down Tilly's throat, eh?
What? But Max Volume asks,
I think I was the only one that thought that.
Yes, you were. Max Volume says, who gave Georgia the treatment to be able to breathe? I mean, the doctor. She just walked in and said, give it to me, hard, in the neck. I was linking to what you said. No, I mean, she's just she's a commander in Starfleet / Section 01. She can ask for the treatment she wants to. Like, she's also ex-captain. It's fine. They just don't say it.
Well, as far as everyone knows.
Yeah. Back to Jeffrey's
he keeps calling her sweetheart.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
Which was kind of creepy, so yeah. Anyway.
But more Jeffrey's tubes.
Back in the Jeffrey's tube.
Scene.
Captain Cranky Pants. Snoopy McQueen, $5. Ha 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 ha.
Exactly. Ha 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 ha.
He's laughing at my Tilly comment in the throat.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
This is so Stamets is bleeding again, and so she calls in for the doctor. So,
and just for reference, this is the original Arium actor who's now back as a human. So she is back in the show.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Same lady. She's the new Spore Drive technician, I think. But yeah, we cut back to the saloon. The guys throw Giorgio. It would be interesting to see, I guess she let herself be captured to get to the villain, because often there's that conceit of, well, if I go in guns blazing, I don't learn anything. If I let myself be captured, I go straight to the source and I can learn something.
Yes, because she also didn't know where the entrance was.
Yeah.
because she wasn't following anybody. So
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Weird.
mm, mm. Anyway, this is where she really shines for me. I hated her in this episode up until this point, but she really knows how to deal with these kind of people, and it's great. So I love how she says to the one guy, "No, shoot him because he's going to get you killed." That's
Yeah.
the best line. That's the best line.
Yeah.
I got to disagree with Olivia there. I think that's the best line. Anyway, yeah, she basically, and then she gets shot, and I'm like, oh my god, she's dead. No, they're drawing it out, making it painful for her, but she's loving it. What you call pain, I call foreplay, is what she says later.
Yeah. This is definitely more the Hitler that I want to see.
Space Hitler.
And like I say, each time he reloads it, it's a bit odd. And I quite like to try and take over the henchmen. That's quite a fun thing to do, basically. Although since she doesn't know anything about the galactic stage, she does get information wrong. They'll come and kill. Like what she's saying doesn't quite track because she's absolutely bluffing with zero information.
Oh yeah. He knows that your rivals saw the ship crash too, and they're on their way.
And then he knows we can't defeat them, so let me. It's like doesn't, but that's fine. It doesn't work. It's not meant to. And then as soon as this is the weird bit though. So she's getting hit. She's not doing anything. So she's ineffective at this point. And then Saru says basically on 3, and yet doesn't he say like he speaks very weird, like as if he recognizes that he's said. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I think they confusing. But then they start fighting, and then it's like it's not quite an organic. Let's start a fight. And they've all got guns as well.
Yeah. And I have issues with this scene, as you can know, with Tilly. Again, she wants to be a captain. She's taken martial arts training, I assume, at the academy.
And gun training, all the sorts, yeah.
She should be helping at least disarm somebody, grabbing a weapon, hitting somebody, not hiding behind a goddamn bar. It's not like she's a cadet anymore. She is an ensign. Again, that's not how you become a captain, by just hiding, you know? It bothers me a little bit.
Although obviously in scenes of danger, you're not going to think, I want to be a captain first. But compare that to Boimler, and it's like Boimler feels like a more, like when he was in danger, he, at the end of his season, in the trial, he dropped the mic on a situation till he got behind a bar and did nothing for the entire scene. For me, it's not the end of the world. It makes more sense for her as a actress and what we know of the character, but you're right, she has full Starfleet training. But I mean, it's clear she's not the best officer. She's just very she got through academy because she's smart, not because she's the best officer. But then Giorgio takes them all out. None of them manage to shoot her for some reason. Classic fight, doesn't really make too much sense per se, except she gets them all out. Saru, who as the actor can't physically do martial art fighting, just kind of grabs one guy and like pushes him. It's not very exciting, but she does all the rest of the work. And then even though she is 900 years old in terms of knowledge, and from a different universe, she managed to beat 4 people with modern whatever. But yeah, she wins, kicks her butt, kills them brutally, kills 2 of the guys brutally. Saru spikes the main guy, and brutal murders, and everything's good now.
He does spike him in the arms. Both arms get hit by spikes.
Yeah.
Just the arms, though. And then basically Sarah was like, I'm not going to cause any more problems here. You get to decide what to do with them. And the bartender's like, you're free to go. But, you were going to send her out there. Can I give him your pack? Like, no, don't give him your pack. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand his motivation here. Why is he being nice to this guy?
I think it's to live up to the Federation ideals, because they've heard
like for his friend or for his brother. It's like, I'm doing it for him.
Yes. Okay. Yes, like the Federation wouldn't kill this guy, so I'm not going to.
Although that must not be this scene yet, because we've got a scene in between. We've got a discovery scene again. Yeah, they mentioned the sun's gone down, so we haven't got there quite yet. But the sun's gone down, so now the ice is spreading. The Doctor comes in though. It's that scene.
Oh yeah, yes. And basically says, "You listen to me carefully, because if you got to survive this, because I want to kill you." There is. I like this little dynamic. And anyway, and Jet's telling him what to do with removing the thing and placing the other thing, which I love because she's an actual engineer. He's not. A lot of people forget that he's a spore tech. Sure, he knows some of the engineering subsystems and stuff because he had to work with them, but he was never the chief engineer. We never got introduced to the chief engineer of the Discovery.
Yeah. Although he does say that he does know what he's doing, like she shouldn't baby him. And given it's just
True.
replaced and I mean, he probably had, like, if this is one thing he's trying to do, he has two components with him, and one is a click in, one is a, so you know, it's not rocket science, but I mean, she's just trying to be. I think she's right. She's just here for moral support. I mean, he's not okay. It's like if two ill people work together, they can be better than no ill people. I really do like, again, the Doctor here. I think he just comes in the scene and just gives it such an extra boost of, what the hell are you doing? She's like, basically wrong time. Come on. And he's like, fine. It's good. It's good little moment. And you've got to get out of this alive so I can kill you. It's like, aw.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's good. Yeah.
And then thanks, Hugh, Jet. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harsh.
And I guess the CPS
fun
thing,
scene.
Yep, fixes it. Everything turns on again. I guess the ship is fixed now.
Yep. Pretty much. Everybody cheers.
Yes. Now the guy decides to let him go, even though he says to the guy, to the Corridon, if you do this, I will literally come back and kill you or not give you food anymore. Like there will be repercussions for this. And I always thought the guy was gonna go after Saru and stuff, like choose him, because that's kind of what convention you expect, but it doesn't. I mean, until it breaks a bottle over his head, which seems slightly out of character. Like, let me assault this guy after he's already down. It's like, what?
Yeah, sweetheart. And she hit. Well, because he's been like threatening her, like intimidating her since he showed up. So
it's not very
she's just
Starfleet,
frustrated at this point.
Because what if that causes him to have a concussion in the glass? I mean, it's not what you should do. Like, either kill him because he's too much of a threat. You don't like. That's very Untilly like, and just because he's being a bit mean.
I think she might feel bad too that she didn't help in the fight. She was hiding. I hope.
Yeah.
But
I do quite like Saru's going after her for this, but I just see her as biding her time. Like, this is not worth my taking the stand. I've got one time I can beat him at his own game. It won't be now. Otherwise, why is she backing down here? Like, she outranks him in every way, basically.
Well, I love how she also threatens the guy, though. If you come back here to take out your vengeance on this colony, I'll come back and rip your throat out.
That was an important line. That was a real important line, yeah. That was good.
Yeah. But we get the personal transporter handed to us. We're back on Discovery. We plug in the communications array. We got communications, and everything is good to go. The ship is fixed. We get everybody reporting in about all the stuff with their station,
It's
and we
so
get Detmer.
abrupt, Stuart, though. It's so abrupt.
Yeah, it is.
And it
But
shows
the episode's almost over,
and
so
it shows that they were basically fine. Like, the ship, because remember, all they had to do was plug in a thing that made the communications. The ship could fly without it, so the ship was fully fixable before they even, So I don't know why they wouldn't try and get up. Like, why wouldn't they have tried and lift it off before they beamed back in if the ship was fine to fly?
Well, it's probably all happening at the exact same time. Like, the ship gets repaired just like a minute or two before they beam back, and it's like,
Okay.
All right, plug this fucking thing in.
Yes.
Because a lot of times when there's storytelling, it feels like it's not happening at the exact same time when it actually, in fact, is. So.
I still lazy storytelling, obviously, but I mean, this is just
yes.
after all.
But.
And also, it would have been nice if we got a sense of they actually gave dilithium to the other people, because you don't get that sense. You get the sense they beamed, they just left. But otherwise, time would have to have passed. But it's not quite.
Well, they got to get out of the ice first. Like, there's priorities here. There's a rush now.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, the ship's fine. All the consoles are fine. The lights are on. The ship is fully fixed. I mean, not fully then fully operational, but everything works. I mean, not literally that second, but by the end of the scene, they're like, "Yep, weapons are on, shields are on. Yep, we're ready to go." It's like, it's been less than 12 hours. Come on, guys. You crashed to a planet through a time warp. Be a bit more damaged than not damaged at all. Very disappointing.
Olivia Julius, $5. Fine. Here's a TNG quote. I did fall asleep reading a particularly erotic chapter in my grandmother's journal, Dr. Crusher. Sub Rosa, everyone.
And Furman67 says about having the baddie leave. Yes, hold up to Federation ideals by sending a man to a long, painful death. True. But I guess the difference of I kill
Well,
him
it's not
versus the
guaranteed that he's
element.
going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed he's going to die. You're giving
Look,
him a fair fighting chance.
the minefield may kill you. I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to force you to walk in this minefield. Hey, I didn't kill you.
Yep.
It's like, well, okay,
Exactly.
technically. Although, why give the pack a little stupid? You need that tech. You can't just replicate phasers, tricorns, and communicators. That's important tech. It might be 900 years out of date, but you still need it. Just saying.
The Trembler, $5. Guess you're right about not that much conflict on the ship. I think Giorgio bits and past seasons sensitized me to it. Did like the Cobra and Stamets bits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So they shake the ship. They're trying to get off.
Oh, interesting point by Ogan again. They also didn't ask the aliens to use their new ship's track to beam them out. Could use their help.
Who?
Well, the Corridans. They have ships. If they have warp drives, they have tractor beams. Like, that's a brilliant plan. They could ask them for help to get them out.
Yeah, but they also gave the guy at the bar the other guy's ship.
Also,
which is stupid.
Well, there you go. Could use that ship
Which
to
is
get them
stupid
out.
because there's probably a crew on that ship that's going to be like, okay,
Well,
what?
Yeah, that Corridor got a shot as soon as he beamed aboard. That's true, though. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. But you're right. Why didn't that ship should have got them out? Absolutely.
Anyway, so they're trying to break out of the ice and they can't. And I was thinking, oh, Michael Burnham's going to come and save the day. It's fine.
Really? You actually thought that from this?
Yep. Absolutely, yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally expected it. Then Tilly's like, Commander, there's something coming towards us. Something big. And I'm like, oh.
It's
maybe
Starfleet.
It's not Burnham.
Probably.
No, I didn't think that at all, actually. Enemy vessel right on top of us. Maybe his friends got here. His more powerful friends. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to get out of here and we'll just deal with it. They get tractor beamed up and then they get hailed. And it's like, okay, no matter who this is, we're going to... And everybody's like, holding their breath to see who comes on screen. Sure enough, it's Michael Burnham. So the line, there's a ship coming. It's something big. I was like, okay, so it's not Book's ship. Even though I bet you any money it's Book's ship. Because we've seen how big his ship is from the window. We can see into the window at the front and see the people. And it's not a big ship. Yet, they said something big is coming. I don't know. I hated that line because it was deliberately a red herring to like make you think it's not Burnham coming to save the day.
It's also wrong. It's like
yeah.
Giorgio's an engineer. She's not. It wasn't.
But
we
don't know. We don't know what ship saved them yet. We still don't know if it was Book's ship or not.
I mean, the implication is it is because that's the set she's on, or at least those.
I know
those things. I mean, to be fair,
but
it could also
she might not be on the ship that's tractoring them. She could be on Book's ship right behind their ship,
or in their shuttle bay. Yeah.
Or yeah, exactly.
And they could just be using that set as well. Although Lieutenant Commander Redshift says Enterprise had warp drive but didn't have tractors. It did. They were called grapplers. I just meant a function of tractor beam, as in doesn't mean if it doesn't have to be energy based. Any sort of, I mean, yes, I don't lot warp test ships. But that's a silly argument if you're going to use that. So you went through the entire thing, and I'll just jump back and give my thoughts because you jumped. I mean, it's fine, but you jumped through a lot.
Oh well, okay.
Yeah, I just think about the ice. I still don't like the fact that this. Sorry, looks a bit silly here. He says, "Right, full power, let's get out," and then they aren't moving, and he says, "More power," as if even more. But you haven't got shields yet. The ice is currently damaging your hull. Let's put more friction on, which can cause snappage. Like, there's no other plan here. He's not a very smart captain. He gives good speeches, but not very good, like, out of the box thinking. He's expecting the same thing to work here. There's no reason to think it would necessarily, and he's just damaging the ship. But whatever, doesn't matter. And then the signal comes in, tractor beam. I assumed it was going to be a Federation ship. I thought that was going to be the big reveal. And it was like Federation, because I mean, even if you've destroyed all time tech, a time vortex will get attention. So I was assuming it'd be a nice like saucer nacelle ship coming in.
Considering it's illegal, yeah.
Exactly, and or that spores might give off a signal. Who knows? So I did not think it was Burnham at all. I assumed that there would be more. I assumed there'd be more of a storyline between finding her and not finding her. The fact that she came, she went into the future, was fine. They got to a planet, broke the ship, fixed the ship, and found her all in 2 episodes. It's like, really? You're skipping like 5 episodes worth of content. I guess there must be a lot more to the series because I was like, they're so abrupt. And again, there's no tension. It was super easy. There was no inconvenience at all. Everyone should go to the future more often. It was easy. It was really easy. Yeah.
A medallion says it's a blue tractor beam. It is Starfleet. That doesn't mean anything,
doesn't.
especially 900 years in the future.
That means nothing.
I don't have a problem with it being a big tractor beam because it's clearly big, coming from Book's ship because it's a future tractor beam.
Well,
they could pack a lot of punch into a little emitter.
But what it's doing is it's just spreading out. It's just It's just setting to go around the ship. It's not about because you want a nice stable connection. You don't want to just track to one element. Yeah, I mean that's not a problem. Nice looking effect though with the ship in the beam. It can't. Although again, the bottom of the ship doesn't look damaged at all. That lower planetary sensor dome should be trashed. There should be no windows in the bottom secondary hull. The deflector should be ripped apart. It's absurd that it's not damaged, and it's a real letdown. But I mean, they keep doing that in terms of some little things because they have a big budget, And even the next episode on, you see the ship and it's totally fine, totally fine. Who cares, all right? Ships can survive damage. Not like Galactica did, like 15 years ago. Every episode, new model, new damage, and they had less money than you. Nah, we won't bother. But yeah, and guys, we are $12 away from a nice round number. So please, this is the time where you need to give us your scores for this season. And if you want to give us maybe even a score for like all of Discovery, so we get a sense of how much you're enjoying this season. So out of 10 for this episode in general, and out of 10 for all of Discovery, give us a sense of what you're thinking. If you can super chat your scores, please do. Like I say, $12 and we'll get to a new level, but I'd love to see 50 more. And if we can get 60 more likes, I'm going to be ambitious. 268 people watching, 240 likes. I would love that to be 300 likes, so do click like. I want to see those likes and super chat. Stuart, let's do scores. Let's do final thoughts. And has your opinion changed with all these discussions? Because we've gone into so much detail. Surely you've thought about it more and have different opinions, or
No, same opinion. Still the best episode of season 3, but we only have 2, so that's not neither here nor there. Still think it should be episode 1. I think it would be more impactful. I thought that way. Just to touch on the ending for a minute, because a lot of people were really upset by the ending that Michael, of course, saves the day. Mary Sue comes and saves everybody's ass, and everybody's so excited to see her, even when somebody pointed out that nobody on the bridge crew really knows her except for Saru and Tilly. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I thought it was perfect. She hadn't seen them for a year. She's happy to see them. She's emoting on screen. That's great. It's good to see her emote.
She's
and everybody else is excited to see her because they they didn't know if they were going to be able to contact her. They didn't know where she was. They didn't know anything. So everybody's relieved to see her. So I don't think it's a Mary Sue moment. I think it's fine. They were scanning for Discovery from the relay station. Maybe they figured out in the year, did some mathematical calculations, knew where they were coming out, roughly where. I mean, no problem with that.
It's not that it's Mary Sue. It's this unearned. It just easy and happened. We're going to get explanations next episode, but it just feels so easy and so simple and so abrupt. It's fine she saves them. She's had a year. It's not fine it was that easy and whatever.
Lieutenant Commander Redshirt says ship is fine because they have worker bees.
How could worker bees fix the outside of the ship while it was in ice?
On the bottom.
That's fine for next week. Not fine
from
for
the
this
inside,
week.
Because we saw the inside, the turbolift shaft. You see worker bees flying around in there. They worked on it from the inside.
Yes, but they've only had less than half a day, and they're going to try and fix the main stuff. But why didn't they got 15 hull breaches? They've had so many hull breaches that stop them from doing. Like as it came, there should have been, as you said earlier, force fields all around the emergency force fields showing it just got trashed. They have to get the shit together because it's not warp capable. And then next week you see them fixing it. Great, you really needed that. It was letting us down. And do you really think they're gonna they've only got 85 people, 76 that are physically able to do anything. You need 20 to fix one corridor. You only have 7 hours. Do you really think 20 people are going to go to work bees and be able to fix hull breaches on several miles worth of metal in 4 hours? Of course not. Without internal communication, but then with communicators, and without the captain giving orders. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots I liked in this episode. The Saru thing, him being captain, I appreciated that. I love seeing more of Bryce. I loved Narn, whatever her name is. Hopefully she's going to be a regular and important character. Same with seeing Stamets and Hugh back together. Love that dynamic. I thought that was what we were kind of missing from season 2. And I love the ensemble bit. It felt more ensemble than most of Discovery has so far. I still would have liked to see more of the other bridge crew doing things instead of some of the extended saloon scenes and stuff.
I mean, yeah, it feels ensemble, but when you realize it's just Saru and Tilly for over half of it, you realize it really
Yeah.
isn't ensemble, but it is compared to a normal episode. But yeah, they should have absolutely, because it's their chance to see them work as a team fixing stuff. They could have some great scenes where the bridge crew fix the bridge. Yeah, absolutely. Like, why not?
Yeah. And this is the one I was hoping for episode 1 for sure. I just wanted to see more about Discovery and the crew. I don't really give a shit about Burnham, but
she's better.
Anyway, that being
she's
said,
better than she used to be. She's improved
Yes.
already in 1 episode, 2 episodes.
Yes. Anyway, that being said, I'm going to give this a score of 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it's good.
Remember, there's 3 scores: there's discovery, enjoyment, and science fiction.
Are we still doing that?
Well, yeah, because for me, this definitely has different. We'll stop that at some point, but this definitely has different values for me. So discovery, say 7.5.
Yes.
As generic sci-fi, because it certainly is still somewhat generic sci-fi, as just a
8.5.
story. 8.5. And how much do you enjoy it then? It's pure enjoyment without any sort of things around that.
I'd say definitely an 8.5 for that too, just because I like the guest star character.
Oh, yeah.
And the kind of westerny vibe to it. I thought was kind of fun. So yeah, those are my scores.
But I did pull you. Just want to make sure we have three scores. Okay. Yeah, and guys, like I said, put your super chat scores in our normal chat. I'll read normal chat, straight with super chat, and make sure it goes likes up to 300. Yeah, for me, this one is not as good as last week, just because it didn't build the world as much. I understand why they did it this way. The insular, let's show the cast. I just wish they gave more time for each crew member, and it all meant more. They didn't do that. It kind of felt as if it was, again, season 2. We're going to show everyone else, but not give them anything meaty. Which is a shame, because this was the episode you had time to do. That said, Sarah was great. Tilly was not great, but she's very, very, very variable. Guest star was phenomenal, the villain. Most of our stuff was great, but there's too many and it was too long. But it was still great. It's like, we got it. Didn't say we want that much, but whatever. Discovery, it's just, we're going to fix the ship, even though there's no damage, but there is damage. It's not well thought out, and you can really sense it's just for the sake of it. It's just we need them on this, we just need to get it fixed. There's not a lot of thought there, whatever. And the stuff with Tig and they were okay, not great. The Doctor was really good. And the sets, again, don't hold up. They don't look good. They don't feel good. They don't feel Star Trek. And when you watch people in not good looking uniforms and not very Star Trek sets just doing generic stuff, it doesn't make you think, oh, brilliant. That's why at least last week you had interesting new sights, interesting new sounds, going around, doing some cool stuff, revelations. Like, it was more filled with stuff. This week was more filled with people doing nothing important and people sort of giving lines. It was just a lot of more mediocreness rather than walk-arounds with really good, like, highlights. So yeah, my score, tricky one. I think as general sci-fi, I would not watch this again. It was pretty boring as just a general sci-fi, because I think about the story and how easy it was not entertaining. Because how it fits into the universe is entertaining, but as general sci-fi, like a 4, like, I would not watch. If I saw this on TV, I would click away. It was not a good episode of TV to watch. But that's not the point of it, is it? Enjoyment, 5, like, it was okay. Discovery, I've got to give it less than last week, but I don't think it was bad, so I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 10. It's okay. I would have probably edited out 30 minutes of it, like, if you're on a really solid piece of, like, Discovery, but it was not. There's very little bad in this episode except the whole premise of the crash. Arguably, that is the entire point of the episode, but they also didn't focus on it, so it's kind of irrelevant, you know? So yeah, it's okay. It's not great, but I think you need this sort of mediocre one to build up to next week. They want to burn through this stuff to get to next week. I think once they get momentum, they're going to really get momentum. And these are just the get past them first. So I'm okay with that. I'm not going to watch them again anytime soon, but it's okay. That's okay.
Let's get to the super chats here.
Well, the Corridor were great. Like, credit to them. They're not good at doing aliens from the universe very well, but they did it very well this time. Only positives on that. So full 10 out of 10 for them. Well done. Which is not often for aliens they do.
SWTX Chaser, $5. They
Thank
missed a chance to increase the tension. Should have been Burnham in a coma, and both crews have to save her and tell her story as well for the year.
Wow.
Well, we're not going to do that because she's got a contract. She's the main character, so.
Yeah, she probably has to be in like 30 minutes of each episode. She was 52 of one episode and then one of another, but it bounces out.
Sean Storm Vom Alk puts in $5 and -7 out of 10.
That's not very high.
That's harsh.
That's pretty low, Stuart.
Fleet Paw Swiftback, $2, 7 out of 10. It's one of the best Discovery episodes.
I think that my expectations went higher from last week, and this one just didn't reach them. You know?
Oh, my expectations were so low from last week, so
yeah.
we're opposite there. So
yeah.
The Trembler, $5. This season we'll have to mention they used dilithium. Maybe 32nd century Starfleet shields, since they know of them. See, the Borg are a non-thing, because if it's 900 years in the future and the Borg still haven't taken over, the Borg are done. Somebody must have taken them out, because they should basically have taken over the whole quadrant.
Yeah, the fact there is a quadrant means they didn't win. And I mean, it's fine if they're in the Delta Quadrant popping around, but when you have time technology and you can fight, and there's a temporal Cold War, the Borg aren't the biggest threat, you know? I absolutely agree.
Oh, we got a PayPal.
Oh,
so
super.
Hold on a second.
And guys, yeah, please give me your non-super chat scores, because I'm going to read those out. And keep clicking like. We're 253. I want to see 300. Come on. 47 more. Come on.
All right. So Hajalt Sigerson sent $5.
Thank you.
Can't super chat for some reason, but enjoying your breakdown and review. On a side note, we had an earthquake in Iceland this week.
Oh.
5 or 6 on the Richter scale. 5.6. Just in the area where a lot of these first episodes were filmed. Guess we now know it was just Discovery crashing. No, it's the burn, baby. It's the burn. It's affecting the dilithium under the surface. So hope you're safe. Yeah, he said he's in Iceland. So anyway, the Trembler, $10.
Thank you.
I'd love to see crew learning about future they missed. Culber learning Spock died and came back. And in STO's Discovery tutorial, Tilly Newkirk as a cadet tormented by Finnegan, and he captained the Enterprise.
I mean, I'd never considered really they were just going to name drop stuff like the Dominion, the DS9. You know, you could do all these cool references because it all just happened in the past. But since they also didn't say temporal Cold War, said temporal war, they're not going to reference directly. I think they're going to be, you know. But you can actually imagine Saru getting access to like a database and like Googling, you know, the Enterprise. Yeah. And it's like, oh, what? That happened to Pike? Oh, no.
Jeff Jacobs, $2.54. 254. Nice. I know we can get to 300. Hashtag we can make so. Jeff pay. I don't think we can.
Well, at least 260.
Hit like if you haven't, guys. Yeah. Herbsta Magus, $2. Rub some decontamination jelly on me. 6 out of 10 episode. And Fleet Paw Swiftback, $2. Jeff paid for the last one. I'll pay for 250. Well, thank you, Fleet Paw. Appreciate that.
You guys are awesome.
So there you go.
So let's see what the non-super chat scores, and I see lots of them, which is brilliant. And guys, thank you so much for joining in. This has been a really good one. I do think that, you know, Lower Decks, there's only so much we talk about, but these are packed with review topics. As in, like, I think you'd agree, Stuart. These are really like dense reviews.
Yeah, I think we should actually start them earlier because they run long. So
yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me 8 out of 10, 8, 7.5, 8, 7, 7.5, 4, 8, 5, 7, 2, 7.5, 6.5, 8, 9, 9, 6.5, 7, 8, 7, 3, 9, 7, 8, 8, 9, 7. Well, I think these scores are for Discovery, which is fair. Like, it's definitely the best Discovery we've got. We just got Lower Decks, you know? So it's kind of like, I'm sure if you rewatch Discovery, you'll be like, damn, this is better. But they could. I think they just could have done more with the episode with the Discovery stuff. I think it just had more potential. But again, didn't think bad apart from the crash, which is pretty shitty. Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Last Super Chat is Fleet Paw. That's not up to us. And then Stuart, what's the plan for the weekend and or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? What's the plan to our wonderful fans?
Regular release on Saturday. I don't know what else is coming up.
Perfect.
A few things filmed.
Yeah.
So there will be stuff coming out. And on Monday will probably be some kind of live. I just don't know what yet.
Yes. Almost Mandalorian.
Yeah. Speaking of, I think we need to next week maybe for this one we'll start a little bit earlier, maybe even half an hour earlier. Just kind of get a jump on things because we didn't really get into this one until about an hour in.
Which is perfect because it means you guys are super chatting, which we desperately need. So super duper.
Yeah, but I think starting earlier might be a good idea. So we'll just keep an eye out for the time, for the announcements and the notifications.
Yeah, it does depend on when we film, when I get the edit done. I mean, it's very variable. I would have been fine today, but not every week. But yeah, cool. Yeah, tune in for the weekend videos and then join us for Monday, Tuesday, and probably Wednesday as well.
Wednesday for sure, because that's a prediction video.
It is. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and making these a truly successful live. And thanks to everyone that came back after Lower Decks. And if you had not watched Lower Decks, were turned off by it, do go back and watch our Lower Decks reviews. And just the show is a phenomenal show and definitely is much better than this show. But that's okay. It was always going to be. But this show's doing pretty well so far too.
The Trembler, $10. Don't need to mention Picard or Dominion, but the people then Spock, if nothing else. They should mention at least Spock. 2, the Borg don't have to appear, but I'd be hanging over the show. Without a mention.
Yeah, but they didn't mention Lal in a series about Data's daughter. So the most important thing
Borg aren't the be all and end all. The Borg aren't the be all and end all. They don't even know about the Borg. Discovery doesn't even know about the Borg. So
they wouldn't ask.
I mean, it's something that might be mentioned in the history text, but I mean, if they fizzle it out, who cares?
Yeah.
I just hate that everybody defaults to the Borg. What's the Borg doing? The Borg will be fine. The Borg will do this. It's like, well, they made an almost OP villain, unfortunately, and they fixed it with Janeway. So, I don't know.
I mean, it'd be kind of fun if they said the Borg in the 2800s found the Omega particle and just chilled out.
Yeah, maybe they settled on a planet and decided they were fine.
They're all good. All right, guys, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and we'll see you soon. Say bye, Stuart.
Bye, Stuart.
Thanks so much. Bye,
Bye,
guys.